I'm just gonna set up this poll. We are almost there. Let's go, baby. I just added a poll, and I flipped all the comments on. I haven't been checking all the comments that have been getting auto-modded because we've had a larger audience recently. I'll try to be a little bit better about that. So if you want to make sure your message gets through, if you want to leave a chat and you want to make sure it gets through, I'll try and pull it up on screen or just read through it and see if it's something we can talk about. Yeah, just try. I don't mind profanity. I swear myself on this channel. But yeah, if you can try to avoid profanity or referencing a sexual organ, I think those are things the YouTube algorithm usually downvotes and blocks. But yeah, good to see everyone. Yeah, I was going to just talk some US stuff, some sort of like geopolitical theory. Tonight we'll talk about the end of history essay, talk about democratic peace theory a little bit. See if those ideas hold up when they go underwater. But yeah, a lot of how like college students learn about democracy in the US came from one essay, right? I know that sounds dramatic. It might be a little over dramatic, oversimplifying it, but yeah, there's an essay in the year 1989 published, I think, in a journal called The National Interest. By Frank Fukuyama, Dr. Francis Fukuyama, really unassuming, kind of quiet, PhD type, right? He's a guy that you would imagine, understands sort of the quantitative research, right? Some of the qualitative stuff. Hey, what's up, Kaya Mikanza? Yep. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Good luck with that. He says, "Yo, brah, I need an adult escort. I want to fuck." Cool. Demon William, yo, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, and so you have if you think about political science, you kind of have some people within a niche. You've got some people who really want to go out and do like security studies. These are people that when they look at their toolkit for like political science, they might want to work at a think tank. You have some ex-military people, but yeah, by and large, it's academia. You have to be able to see both sides to be effective in that space. Hey, Efron, it's all good. Jeremy, good to see y'all. D's nuts, what's going on? Quantum quota breach, good to see you. Hello again to you too. Your username looks different. I remember Quantum in here, but yeah, my brain's not good at logging all of that kind of stuff, so try and get a little better at it. But Duda Gamer, hello to you as well. And Pumpkin Pie VR, what's up? What's up? Barrowson Scorch, good to see you. Bark for $25. Nah, I'm not going to do stuff for money. We're just talking democracy a little bit today. I even dressed up a little bit, right? I dressed up a little bit tonight. But yeah, so Francis Fukuyama, end of history, right? So he's a guy that's sort of easy to understand from a guy like me, my perspective. It's like, okay, this guy reads philosophy, right? This guy reads philosophy. If he's a good Roman Catholic guy in the US, a Roman Catholic, and sort of, he's a Roman Catholic guy, and he'll read his theory. He'll read his John Locke, his Karl Marx, he'll go through, he'll read up to the modern era. He knows his stuff. He knows Immanuel Kant, and then he'll go out and he'll sort of ask and research what the world might be like, Um, Quantum quote, I believe, is a nurse from Chicago. So guys, yeah, definitely support your healthcare workers at all times. At all times. Luke, cut that shit out. No, just kidding. I just saw address and like my internet doxing brain like went off a little bit. I didn't mean to dox anyone too hard. I didn't want to dox anyone too hard. Yeah, so Frank Fukuyama, great Catholic guy, he writes this essay called The End of History. And he basically says, well, you know, we're kind of right about some of this historical stuff. You know, sorry, Luke. So whatever. But yeah, you know, we're kind of right about some of this history stuff that, you know, history does create these sort of linear patterns. And, you know, at some point you tumble or collapse or we crash into the next era. You know, and it's not this like, you know, Ninny Muggins, wishy-washy sort of, well, you know, between you and I, you know, I want to see how we all feel about it and all this other stuff. But it's actually this sort of almost violent revolutionary motion. It's usually this violent revolutionary motion. It's something that has indicators, maybe with a naturalist worldview, and, you know, how some people might interpret the end of history. If you have a naturalist worldview, you're saying, well, look, I'm going to be able to understand how the world's changed and study it. And, you know, there's got to be a huge difference between, you know, the ancient Babylonian civilizations and, you know, the first Christian and Roman empires. That to me, intuitively, we would see people thinking about things like money. We would be asked about things like their diet. These things would obviously be really different. Hey, good to see everyone. Sebastian and Blacksmith, all y'all folks. Salt tea. You don't like the jacket? I got the jacket on, bro. Yeah, and so this is Hegel and Marx's sort of dialectic simplified, right? Dialectic light. You know, you just look at what happens, and what Francis Fukuyama said about democracy. You know, democracy never dies hard with a vengeance. You know, he said, well, eventually everyone becomes a democracy. You have to. And Alex Jepson, yeah, I was a bartender, and I also I was a shift lead while I was in college. So yeah, I did serve. Yeah, claimed all my tips in the POS, like a good Catholic, good Roman American. No, there was never a war. You know, most shifts, if you showed up, you had to sign in within 5 minutes of your shift start, or you'd have to get a manager to key in your sort of time. So yeah, and that's a good point. Emmanuel has a good point that yeah, you know, yeah, I'm from Texas, or something. And Cooney, good to see you. Crystal, what's up? Yo, what's going on? Yeah, we can start. We can start now, folks. We can start. Yeah, and so this is Hegel's view of the world. This is Hegel's view of, this is Francis Fukuyama's main argument, is that by the time you invent what people mean by a modern democracy, by the time you start thinking about the British Empire and Spanish Empire and the Americas, making a conscious, intentional choice that becomes very clear even over the course of a couple generations, at that point, the world's already changed, and the system that's produced in a society, as a result of this, the system that's produced in a society is such that democracy is more competitive, it's more peaceful, and it's just really more in tune with what human nature naturally strives for in a sort of constructivist society. And you don't go further. You don't go to democratic socialism, right? You never go further. This is what Francis Fukuyama's point was that Well, when we're talking about the indicators that predict we're at the end of civilization, and by end of civilization, we're not being doomers. We're not taking that doomer mindset, but we're just saying that, we're just saying that, like, yeah, this was, maybe not perfect, but in terms of the things that a political scientist or sociologist would talk about, you get the Harvard guys in, you get the Harvard folks in, you get some of the Oxford folks thinking about this stuff, doing like, you get the DARPA grant to study democracy on social media. Yeah. I want you to scan TikTok for every message you've ever seen that mentions Francis Fukuyama. Okay, and then what do? If there's negative feedback, you kill it. How do I kill it? I don't know, you figure it out. So, yeah, anyway, stupid stuff. Kelsey, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'm Jewish. That's what people who aren't Jewish usually say, is I don't think so. I don't know. How would I know? Well, of course, you would ask. Christian, I hope that answers your question. I am not a rabbi. Inclusivity. Yeah, and so Francis Fukuyama's arrow of time, so to say. Francis Fukuyama's arrow of time is that you eventually, once you have democracy operating, and then you almost even put it through some tests, you have hundreds of years of stories and narratives. You have characters and very different cultural and social contexts for democracy to sort of litmus test this idea. And it turns out that democratic peace theory, the economic viability of liberalism, as well as a limited government that's produced in a democracy, is so good it just keeps society doing exactly what society's always supposed to have been doing. And this was really controversial. This was an essay written in 1989 by Francis Fukuyama, published in the National Interest, which is a peer-reviewed academic journal. And it was controversial. It was, exciting. It shook things up. It was very blunt and brash in the sense that it was making an empirical and quantitative argument, which we can talk about. I know some of you folks, if you guys are in chat, there's at least one or a couple of you guys, maybe more, that want to disagree with this idea that liberal democracy is the end of the road. And so it's making this empirical argument. This is totally like academia being like nasty as hell, bro. Like, this is fucking filth. And while it is this empirical argument, and we're going to be able to go through data and support multiple arguments to say it's the end of history, we're also saying that there is sort of this ideological conclusion, but you have to pull it out. You have to work to say that a little bit. Hey, what's up? Joao Vitor de Salva Santos. Good to see you, bro. What in the name of meth is causing this fool to go live? Oh, dude, I don't know, man. From Israel and Brazil. Cool. Yeah. So, yeah. And so people argue against Frank Fukuyama all the time. They say that, like, look, democracy isn't the end of history. Democracy is not even the best form of government. Democracy, and whenever this happens, right, this is the most important part of the story. It's maybe the only important part. But yeah, democracy is important for a couple of reasons. But whenever you put together like this long Hegelian narrative where you're talking about history becoming a certain way, whenever you talk about how truth is built into the world and democracy being the thing that builds truth, and you're doing this stuff, you get everybody attacking you. Every single thing that you say, someone's going to have an argument against it. So look at democratic peace, the democratic peace thesis, democratic peace theory, which just says that established mature democracies don't fight. Established mature democracies don't fight. Well, there's lots of examples, right? We just had Pakistan and India. Whether you call it a war or you say it was a skirmish, a security skirmish, a squabble, whether or not they put fuel in their jets and launched jets full of bombs at each other, did that happen? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Did you have people sitting over like missile command booths wondering if they would need to use them? Yes, you did. Every single day, actually. That's how peaceful a democracy is. So in 2021, if Francis Fukuyama tells us that, well, democratic peace theory, at the end of the day, folks like you, like actually wake up and look at the last 12 months of your life. Isn't life so much worse? Let me read this one. This is algorithm one. Pookie Crazy says, I hate when my nuts hang out my shorts. All right. Yeah, it's troublesome. Very troublesome. Nicotine appears to be a performance-enhancing substance. Absolutely. I traded my hopes and dreams to be a master's or PhD or, a senior director at a great company. I traded it for the American-Chinese partnership of nicotine sticks. Thank you. This is the true invention of the white man. I'm not going to complain about that. No, but there's been democracies have fought all across the 20th century, right? And there's been tons of fights. Anyone in chat from Turkey? Anyone from chat in Turkey? Or is everybody from the US here? Turkey invaded Cyprus, right? And so this is really weird. If you guys might not know, like maybe you say, well, Turkey and Cyprus, they sound to me like they're small countries. But that is also an argument against democratic peace theory, right? Right? And so putting two ideas together that if any of us wake up and we say, well, what world do we want to live in? Maybe it's finally time for me to decide what I think my opinion and my perspective of what a government should be like. And you say, well, like, yeah, it's better if I don't hear about somebody going to war, right? It's better if I don't hear about like these like $1 trillion business success stories that I don't understand like the fuck at all, right? Somebody might say something like, it doesn't make sense when I hear about somebody being so wealthy and there's like kids starving, or alternatively, like my main thing is just that I understand sort of my choices that I have in front of me, and we can go from there, right? I understand my choices. I understand that some years politicians challenge me to think harder. I understand that some years that doesn't happen at all. So, and so when there's no war, right? There's no war. That seems like a universal human value. It seems like a universal value that we're not spending hundreds of billions of dollars to bomb someone. But then you go to Turkey and Cyprus, right? And you if you put on, if this was a monocle or something, I don't know if I should have a monocle for a proper. Hello, let's have a gander at this. How do I do this? Let's take a look, shall we, lads? As it were, back at Oxford when I was an undergrad. Perhaps a rabble-rousing student looking for dino bones, was it? Yes. And if you look at Turkey and Cyprus, you might say, well, those are two big, stinking Chungus democracies. Those are two freaking democracies. They had elections. They voted for people. And Someone else, Francis Fukuyama is like over there saying, well, they weren't very good democracies. They weren't mature and consolidated as we always define them in conflict studies. We couldn't say two democracies went to war. We'd have to put a footnote on it. And so if I'm disagreeing with this, bro, I'm saying that, like, look, there's not some end of history, even if I believe it, but just to play the devil's advocate, being honest, I'm saying, like, well, look, so you're saying that democracy has to be some super good type of democracy in order for us to not classify it as going to war? What? Is that what the argument actually is? Like, only really good democracies in mature countries. It sounds like a South Park episode. It honestly sounds like it's a little bit of a joke. Hey, good to see everyone. What's up in chat? I'll come check. I'll come do messages in a bit or whatever. Who cares? No one gives a shit, right? No one gives a fuck. No one gives a shit, bro. Yeah, that's Duck's. I'm Duck. That's my terms of service, bro. No one gives a shit. Yeah, and so if you have this history tumbling motion, and I'm actually criticizing, and I don't want to win a debate right now, but I'm criticizing Francis Fukuyama. I'm criticizing his article he published in the National Interest, a journal in 1989. I'm criticizing his book he published in 1992, and I'm criticizing scholarship which came from this. I'm criticizing, maybe the fact that every anchor on Fox, from Fox to CNN to TBN, like every news station in the United States knows this essay, the end of history, right? Perfect. This is a great one. Now it sounds like he's saying he doesn't actually argue that, well, Hegelian Marxist dialectic and this historical construction of what it means to have human nature in society, because I have the right to vote, because I have the right to produce known property, to be productive, suddenly because of this, we don't fight, and therefore we don't go any further either, right? I get a college education, I can think, and and all this stuff, and so everything from what a mother and father tells their son, right? The joke in Francis Fukuyama's everybody in the United States, we're all Catholic. That's all our religion, right? Maybe you're not actually a Catholic, but every good American is a Roman Catholic. You're not Catholic? Well, are you an American? You're a Roman Catholic a little bit. You're a little bit of a Roman Catholic. I personally am an atheist. I'm a former Roman Catholic, but when I talk about America, I'm a Roman Catholic. I know what's going to get me eventually. I eventually know that I need to appreciate and see and recognize when there's stress in the system. At least that much. You can go out and talk about apologetics or theology. You can talk about being pro-life or pro-choice after that, whatever. No one gives a shit. Flawed by design. Doesn't Erogden cheat in elections? He's a total disgrace and people care that he's incompetent, but he's silencing. I don't know enough about what that is, Turkey. I don't know enough about Erogden. I'm pantheist. Multiple gods. Cool. Aaron, I'm sorry. I'll try and pick up. I'm gonna drop a total truth bomb on you guys. I have human being fatigue. All right, Aaron. I don't know. Yeah, that's a very modern idea. Human being fatigue. This is a lot of when we think of slightly left methodologies that depend a little bit on, I wouldn't say qualitative research, but they end up trying to prove something like human psychology plays a role. Just sort of anti-scientific in my view, but like, how could you, if I had a warm cup of water here, I could put a thermometer in the cup of water, stir it around a little bit, and that would prove what temperature that water is. But there's no way to put like a human psychology in a cup There's no thermometer for it. So it's always a weird one to think about, like psychopolitic and stuff. But yeah, Francis Fukuyama and this, like a razor blade, and so this guy, says that, well, look, you can't have Turkey and Cyprus. You can't really have a 6-day war between Israel and Lebanon. You can't count those in the same way that we mean it when we're talking about history. And so, yeah, as someone who's just starting, who's just putting the key in the van to start it up, to start criticizing this end of history thing, this liberal domination, this sort of liberal choice is what we might be promoting from something like this. You have to rule out a lot of stuff, is what a criticism or critique looks like. Quantum quota breach. Yeah, that is another point. Democracy has historically used covert operations to overthrow foreign governments. Yeah, absolutely. You could also say that democracy has used covert and overt, obvious. The opposite of covert is obvious, I think. So yeah, just to be completely transparent, the CIA, as well as to be truthful again, the aggregate Department of Defense, like, do you guys not do this? They've used overt and covert operations to control weak states. That is what that was, bro. No, man. Oh my god, dude. This is fucking sick as hell, bro. This is sick. His cousin is in the trucking industry, bro. That's crazy. And there's 3 of them. Don't that piss you the hell off? Sometimes, baby. You see how committed I am when you can catch the still frame of it. Yeah. So the relationship between democracies might be another sort of method of criticizing this end of history thesis, because ultimately what we're talking about is we are talking about this end goal. This is Francis Fukuyama, the core of his idea. We're talking about history creating this sort of lens in which truth can be appreciated and recognized, and something like a normative or a positive description of the world, you can kind of rest on it. This is brutal, right? This is what actual nerd brutality looks like. And so if you say, well, like, look, we already talked about how, what we're actually doing is we're kind of splitting things off, and to actually get to this endpoint and really believe it, you have to ignore that there's all of these almost like fractal sort of, astral projecting sort of like versions of reality. Like, you have to say that these are somehow subservient or somehow aren't true, which is disregarding what it actually is. It's disregarding what it actually is. But like Quantum brought up, quantum quote breach. Now he's talking about shock and awe in Iraq. You can also say, well, look, if we just say that democracies don't fight when they're doing a great job, good job, boys. Good job, boys. Support the boys back at home. Yeah. Send them a couple nickels from every paycheck. Would you? Yeah. You gotta tie a pink ribbon and a yellow ribbon around your tree so they know you care. You're still there. That stuff means more than you know. I looked that stuff up and I realized that I can't think about it. What the fuck was I saying? So what I was saying is the other side of democratic engagement and shit is like what's it called? Is like, yeah. If I say, well, democracies exert power over each other in all kinds of ways. And for a country like Korea, it basically meant that what Korea is today is a response to Western and Soviet domination for like 70 years. And so when you're talking about democracy, was the US some sort of good cultural savior? Were they like a well-being sort of moral agent in helping create? Well, no, what they did was say, well, China is finally growing, so we're going to finally start ensuring that making sure strategically you're sold more manufacturing equipment and oil. You're going to be able to finance and buy more things to become economically wealthy in oil. And so this is one way where very overtly and obviously, bro, you do have organizations like the CIA. You have probably some complex, hallway conversations about the ways in which you sort of protect and keep safe, these very large trade relationships. And so, this is bleeding a little outside of democratic peace theory. But if I can say that, what truth is actually constructed isn't intersectional at all, it isn't, it's not just this relative thing you tap over, but it's a totality. Well, then you start seeing that these branches themselves are not, these Marxian Hegelian versions of history. That's not what that is. It's not what it has to be. It's not what it is. These branches themselves are self-contained, constructed narratives from which you cannot justify the conclusion of what Frank Fukuyama said. There is no end to history. You didn't need to publish this paper in 1989. You didn't need to write the book in 1982. Make sure I slip that in, right? My Google research. I went so deep, bro. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good, I'm sure there's a lot of like very formal critiques of this as well too, but thank you, Sam Pete. Chat, take note. Those are the types of I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, but that is I see it as a compliment. I see it as the right type of chat message. The right type of message about your buddy duck. Yeah, I could be a Russian author. I'm just gonna slowly and quietly coax the Bolsheviks to come out of hiding. We're gonna get there, lads. You have no clue what you're really saying. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. Are you Ted Kaczynski's son? No, I don't think so. Who's your plug? My main squeeze right now. Who's my plug? I don't know. I Googled 303 the other day. It's technically the Colorado zip code, but it's also the name of an American band. So no offense, that was pretty sick. I was pretty into myself at the time. I'm pretty into that kind of stuff too, bro. Nah, man. I don't know, where'd we go, guys? White, no. You arrested Ted when he was undercover. Plug is what is a plug? A hug dealer. You're a hug dealer. That's what a plug is? Bullshit. It's a musician. Taylor Swift. Any other Swifties? Yeah. Francis Fukuyama may have been, so I'm going to pull up Tracer's comment real quick. That's a good comment, right? Jesus playing dumb, or you don't have to. Yeah, so let me be Francis Fukuyama's best friend for a second. Let's say maybe I'm a graduate student who at that time I'm studying at like City University in New York or something, right? I'm across the country and I'm not a PhD. I'm not going to be publishing anything right away, but I read this essay and I think to myself, like, look, I'm not that dogmatic. I'm pretty open-minded. I'm studying at a fairly, I'm studying at a university that embraces some, a little more left methodology or something. It's a great school, right? A private college, nationally recognized, internationally known. So I'm at CUNY, I'm at City University, New York, and I read this essay and I say, you know what always pissed me off? What always pissed me off, even though I'm open-minded, is that it always feels like, and just to get this in the right place, I'm going to vent a little bit. It always feels like culture takes something like the Protestant ethic. It takes these large sweeping narratives that really were kickstarted because you landed on Plymouth Rock, and for no other reason. It kickstarts because you find out in the Americas, when you're so far away from mainland Europe, countries don't have an appetite to invade you. They're okay with these handshakes, sort of, lining up kind of wars. They're used to that stuff. And you realize the place is resource rich, and say what you want, but people always take this grand American story and all these American schemes, and they always make it about red, white, and blue man bad, right? I don't know what orange man bad means. I'm not a MAGA guy, but red, white, and blue guy bad. And so Francis Fukuyama is trying to take the story and tell us that, well, when you actually get underneath it, you actually get underneath the story, and you get rid of your emotions, you get past it eventually, you see that something kind of useful and cool emerges, though. You see that something useful and cool emerges. Good, not Magot. I think King Calugan, that's a French... What is a French word? Do you guys know what a French word is? Magot, I think so. He still didn't, though. Timu Destiny. Let's go, bro. Yeah. I've been looking at microphones and all that kind of BS. That stuff's all, yeah. Is that a hash vape? No, it is not. It is not. I haven't smoked the ganja. I haven't smoked any of the Mother's Nature's most complex flower for a while. Long time. Philosopher, Keanu, yes. Slavery is you. Yeah, the American, yeah. And so this is crazy because if I, that's a good point. Arma, I think sent this message. Sorry to take it out of context while I was talking about the Protestant ethic. So some people might say, well, like, yeah, Christianity seemed to produce these property mechanisms, right? That's the big thing that that's the big thing that the Protestant ethic does. Is it internalizes sort of this notion of natural law and rights, and it externalizes a limited government in most cases, but it also externalizes these systems of exploitation and superiority. So maybe if I'm at CUNY, maybe if I'm at City University or whatever, maybe if I'm a grad student reading Francis Fukuyama back in 1990, right? I can't wait to turn on CNN. I know that like somebody's got to cover this, right? This is going to get more text press, but this guy might even be on like the Letterman show or something, right? Really huge stuff, He's going to get picked up by Tim Pool for an interview. You're going to have 50,000 live viewers for it. This is a big deal, right? And I'm trying to sort it out. So, yeah, who knows? My thesis advisor, the PhD that I'm talking to or whatever, they're going to tell me that like, get over yourself. Get over yourself a little bit, right? The accurate part about the Protestant ethic is that you have tons of evidence. You can draw a circle on the map, and you can go create evidence from text, from law, from political careers, so like individual people, and this you can turn it into like quantify it, right? You can quantify it, right? You can pull up economic data, and all of this is going to support this Protestant ethic thesis. So don't even worry about it that much, right? Don't even worry about it that much because it's there when you need it. It's there if you want to go do that. What sometimes some people would say is harder is that like, well, if you're trying to prove another point, it turns out that stuff is, exploitation is also there, connecting it to the Protestant ethic. Yeah, we know that we probably have a good idea or know that that's what happened. there's a massive gap or an explicit intrinsic drive towards racist systemic development in the US and in democracies? Maybe not. How's off-brand Jesus doing today? Good buckets. I'm doing well. If that's me, I'm doing so well. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing good, and I mean that. Let's see. Mark Walbang calls me a homosexual Jew. Thank you. I think that's an insult. But yeah, cool. Cool. L Poor something says, I'm a Christ follower. I don't agree with racism or any type of hate. Well, I am an atheist, so you probably know more about that from a Christian perspective than I do. But yeah, I wouldn't see, from what I remember from Catholic school about the gospel, I wouldn't see how Christianity is compatible with racism, bigotries or hatred. I wouldn't necessarily say the gospel is a free-thinking book, but I would say that the gospel is a normative and moral book. So I'm sure we agree on a lot and disagree on a couple other things. Not gonna lie, you look kind of like my unk. Thank you, your girl. That is the best comment I got today. Can you define atheism? It's just a worldview without a God. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe, by the way, I haven't said that all stream, but I maybe said it once. Can I define atheism? Yeah, it's just a worldview where God isn't present. I like Jimi Hendrix, Trump, all this other stuff. Jim, yeah, let's go, baby. So let me just, I'm going to take a quick break, not off camera, but because I know I see some similar names. We've had, so I just want to tell you about who's on the channel real quick. So we've had about almost 100,000 people now tune in over the last like 7 days or so. So you guys have been awesome. Folks in chat, folks just watching, hi. I appreciate you. I try to put together a little bit of content, try and keep some energy, some talk flowing, some noise in the air, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and a couple awesome things. We were able to increase our viewership between male and female audiences from 18% female up to 24%. So that's awesome. This is supposed to be a totally inclusive space. So we want to be able to keep having conversations in multiple contexts, in chat and whatever. So I appreciate you guys all for that. Yeah, 22% of our audience is 65 or older. So shout out, be respectful in chat, please be respectful, and also please be honest. And also whatever, yeah. Yeah, you know, most of our audience is 25 and up. So for everyone 18 to 25, what's up? I hope we get to have some good conversations. We talk about fun stuff. We talk about serious stuff. And yeah, I don't know, whatever. I'm trying to just build entertaining, fun content for everyone, irregardless of what statistics are and all that stuff. And what else? Yeah, you know, 86% of our audience is from the US right now. But for the 14% of the audience that is not in the US, what's up? Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys if you guys stay and hang out for a little while. I hope, you know, if you leave a chat, I hope I catch it. I hope I can somehow integrate feedback back into the way we sort of run these live streams. And again, everyone in chat, you know, kind of just, yeah, again, if you just have the attitude or mindset of being inclusive, giving people space to talk, being honest, whatever, I don't even know. I don't lead that kind of stuff. So all of that stuff, yeah. Yeah, Vic, good to see you again today. And anyone else tuning in, whatever. Hello. All right. integrity evolved from bacteria. That is a crazy story, right? If people don't want to like Francis Fukuyama too, that's raw. That's really that grown ass man way to do it. Is saying that like, look, well, a lot of people are going to be arguing about, the whatever it is, the end of history thesis, and so. People are going to remember the Protestant ethic. They're going to remember a lot of other terms. They're going to remember William James. They're going to remember American pragmatism, and that A&M universities were the first public schools in the United States. They're going to remember that you had civil rights movements coalescing with other public education expansion. They might remember Alexis de Tocqueville describing the United States and saying that, well, in America, by the time you reach age 15, the philosophy and natural philosophy that you've learned goes forth, and you become productive with it. Alexis de Tocqueville was a French lord who traveled to the United States, the first sociologist, and he wrote all about the United States. He called us a nation full of lawyers. Said the national character was one of severe pragmatism and one of severe distrust and sort of isolation from other countries in a lot of ways. A very private place, a private nation. But you can also say, well, Frank, buddy, what about Steven Pinker, right? Shouldn't it be the case that almost entirely what the United States is, that the United States and every other country comes from the same out of Africa thesis? You only have Homo sapiens because we've documented, about 20 or 30 subspecies of Homo erectus, of, people walking with skeletal structures, and physical capabilities similar to our own in a lot of ways. And you get Homo sapiens who have brains and can finally both expand as well as leave on the continent. Expand and leave on the continent. And so when you're talking about the government, when you're talking about sophistication, when you're talking about anything at all, you're actually... if you want to use history as this bearer of truth, then why are you just starting when the Declaration of Independence was signed? That's absurd. Why are you starting, with whoever it was, not William Wallace, fucking Charles Cornwall or some shit, some British dude, right? You're starting with the British Commonwealth. That's crazy. That's crazy to you, Frank. Crazy. Thoughts on the Khazarian Empire? I don't know that much history. I'm more of an artist, right? I'll learn history, right? I'll go on Wikipedia or I'll watch a video on YouTube. But I need a little music and light with it. I need a little music. I can't remember a ton of dates and stuff like that. I did a video. One of the harder videos for me to do is I did a video on Italian city-states on my channel. I don't know why. I forgot what the point of the video was. But yeah, I was learning about Kingdom of Naples up until the French Empire invaded. And so I remember these little things, but when you're talking about memorizing these events, which have these back and forths and people involved and tactical motions associated with it, like I get it, I understand it sort of, but I just don't have a way to retain. I don't retain it. I don't know why. Yeah, sorry, Tracer, if I'm not saying anything cohesive or sensible, I apologize for that. I'm sorry. Watch Hypernormalization by Adam Curtis. Thoughts on a certain German artist from the 1940s? Yeah, not sure. I think the Germans attempted to revitalize and redefine a lot of classical art and filmmaking. And to that end, I don't think they were very successful. Yeah, I think you can kick a rock at Yo-Yo Ma. You could put Yo-Yo Ma in, some guy in Tennessee's frickin' garage, and he would make a better album. He would make better music. Hey, what's up, Carl? How you doing, dude? Oops. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's Frank's big Francis Fukuyama, Dr. Fukuyama, right? For folks who might be just starting to pick up PDFs, for folks that might be starting to pick up some of the footnotes in Wikipedia articles, or starting to sort of chain links together on Wikipedia or SCP or any of this other stuff. You're trying to attach the incoherent rambling that sometimes appears to exist on Reddit into the actual theory that people are talking about, right? When people explain things clearly, if you want to understand the clear explanations, that's what the world has to offer. It's Dr. Francis Fukuyama. It is not. It's not Frank. It's not that liberal guy. It's not anything else. He is a PhD. And so that entails that when he publishes a book or something, even if it's a small book, it's going to be well researched, cited. It's going to be well editorialized. It's going to be well edited. A lot of those things. And so whatever your version of that sort of respect that's able to connect various sort of temperaments, so you're ready to sort of consume information without going overboard, just mindful of that kind of stuff. It's been helpful for me, I will say. Yep. And so Daisy Jiggle Wiggle Tank. I like the name. I was talking about Francis Fukuyama. Chat might have been talking about Francis Fukuyama a little bit. He wrote an essay called The End of History. And yeah, The End of History is this awesome essay that was published in 1989, talking about how the liberal state is the final democratic state. It's the final sort of phase of civilization. So we were talking about both some of the arguments, arguments light, right? And we're talking about some of the criticisms as well, the criticisms of trying to construct sort of a sweeping narrative, but it's also going to talk about the downcline of humanity and civilization a little bit. Some people don't, I think they understand it, but some people might not totally understand it. I don't know. There's injustices. Yeah, there's just another mass shooting today in, where was it? Philadelphia or Indianapolis? I forgot. Yeah, some guy at a bar. So that's one of those things that we sometimes forget, is that, if somebody brings a pew to a bar, they bring a weapon to a bar or whatever it is, this happened last night or something, and they get angry enough, even if they didn't plan it, even if there wasn't like a manifesto, all of those things, but you just happen to see sort of the number of victims of an incident involving this. Well, that's still a mass shooting by the way that most people characterize it. So people sometimes forget that, this stuff can happen for some of these social, psychological, sort of, ecological reasons. The social ecology seems to be a great place to start to see what we didn't do or what we can do better. But yeah, as you go to wherever it is, yeah, folks on CNN or MSNBC or Fox, they might, the major American network sites, some of the content streamers might aggrandize it and forget to put it in the right box that it goes into. Some of the people on the large news networks might work around it, or they might do like a wine pairing with that shit, Always see some of that stuff, right? Might as well be honest about it. Carl! You guys watch Walking Dead ever? Carl! Hey, Rick, we gotta go get Carl. Rick, where's Lori? Sup, gang? Bob's back. What's up, Bob? Just because I saw Bob twice today, Bob, if you don't want to be a moderator, obviously I will tell you don't feel compelled to stay. Don't feel compelled to stay, but I'm gonna mod up Bob real quick. Just because I see Bob around sometimes, so sorry. We need to find Carl. Can you find Carl? See, Vic's that nuance. He's Vic's. I don't know if you're a him, her, there, whoever, but Vic's him, right? In internet speak. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah. Carl. Yeah. I love The Walking Dead. That show is cool. I watched The Walking Dead once on my own, and I watched it end to end with my mom too. That was fun. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, but yeah, we would have like dinner or something, and then like one of us would just be like, "Oh, do you want to watch a couple episodes of Walking Dead?" We would just binge watch it. That was cool. Yeah, that's sick. Rastandi Igor, hey, good to see you. Hi, bro. What's up? Good to see you. Let's go. Yeah, I wish I've tried watching shows from other countries and stuff, and I haven't been able to get into it. I'm not the right person for that, though. I'm not like a good like film critic type person. I just want to watch a stupid action movie and get lost in it, and I want to be so done. I want to be so done with it. So my people are not the Jews of ancient Samaria. My people are not or whatever it is, the ancient Sumerians. My people are not the Mormons moving out west. My people are not the Chicagoans of greater Chicago. My people are the ones who make stupid action movies, who have 1 or 2 attractive female characters, who are also good actors, who do not break the plot line. What can I say? I could say less. Just make the good action movie. What part of America are you from, Doug? I'm in Arizona. Just like if you guys have seen Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. No spoilers, but Newt Scamander has he's got a magical beast that needs to make its way back to Arizona. Watch The Hunt starring Hilary Swank and Betty Gilpin. Best female fight scene. Well, I will at least have to look up the fight scene. Midnight Fuego. Hell, never tell the truth. Hell, never. Even over Kill Bill. Kill Bill was great. Scottsdale is nice. Yeah, Scottsdale is nice. I've got family. I've got a small subset of family. I used to work in North Scottsdale for a while. Dane Gunn. Duck, a few of us are from EU and you make no sense in some situations. Few of us are from the EU and you make no sense in some situations. Few of us are from the EU and you make no sense in some situations. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think not to like overly generalize, but this is also like a little bit of my autism. Is like when I'm on Discord or something, and there's like sort of these exchange based conversations or whatever. I don't know. That's the only way I can describe it. I try and I don't know. I can contribute sometimes. Pascal, hey, good to see you, Pascal. Please support my plastic waste recycling business with $2,000. This venture has high returns in Nigeria, creating jobs and sustainable future. Your investment will yield profits and positive impact. I will tell you what, Pascal. Here's what I can do for you. In around the year 2011, Target did two things. They collaborated with both Taylor Swift and Massimo. And this was incredible. It was soft-lining this creator economy that was slowly popping up, and and some of these like big Paul Frank collaborations, an American retail company with Taylor Swift. Just the honest truth, right? What these things did is sort of created this soft cushion between America's largest retail companies as well as like popular culture, right? Popular culture. And so I wish I hadn't spent so much money on Taylor Swift CDs, otherwise, who knows? I might venture back. I'm not a venture investor, but if I was, maybe I would write a check to either a fund that helps businesses like yours in Nigeria. But yeah, I know a couple U.S. venture accelerators like YC, Y Combinator, and 500 Startups have done some stuff. I know there's some AI funds. There's also been some exploitation of AI jobs in Africa in terms of wages as well as what the work actually is. So, and I'm sure there's also lots of other stuff. I was just showing people, I have a shoe from Kenya here. Yeah. And so this is my Enda I-10 sneaker. And yeah, it was a great shoe. Great whatever. I bought it from Kenya. Capitalism, baby. Capitalism. So I hope that was helpful. What you even talking about, brother? I was talking about, I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. Somebody was talking about startups or something, technology products, local manufacturing around the world. Jeremy Rifkin was one of the guys. He's a former economist. Now I don't know what he does, but he's talked about local manufacturing. He's talked about the sharing economy. The big idea here, right? If you guys have seen channels like Big Think or something, the big idea is that, well, maybe like liberal capitalism like we see in the United States isn't the future, but maybe capitalism still is, but you have these sort of different sharing or ownership or production agreements and arrangements. Who knows? Oil up for stream, bro. Meatballer, I do that during the daytime. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing those, or I'll probably just cut back. I felt weird today. I've been doing fitness streams in my garage. All about your buddy duck. All about a fucking duck. And yeah, so I'm getting a little jiggy with it. But yeah, I've been doing so. Just after my run, I'll go live and I'll go in my garage. I'll kind of share what I work out doing. Yeah, you guys are probably super cool and helpful with that kind of stuff. I love it. I absolutely love it. And yeah, but I don't know. I love fitness. I would totally do like a second channel, just fitness or something. But I've been running for like 4 years. Change my diet. I stay motivated. And so for folks that, like, yeah, young folks would, if you can get to the point where you understand, change it, because I didn't understand this when I was younger, but you commit to a lifestyle change because of a goal or because of a passion, because something you love to do, that's a huge milestone. And you can see I totally get back into like my bro phase, my bro voice and all this other stuff. Like 4 or 5 years, a beard's been going. Yeah. You into fitness? Yeah, Aaron O'Neill, if you guys want to like and subscribe, you can catch one of the other streams, but no big deal. I'm not that inspiring I'm not into like doing inspiration. I'm not into like lifting heavy. I'm not into bulking and all that stuff. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us exactly? No place great. But yeah, millennials' first introduction to like fitness social media was two things, right? Two things. First, it was, you saw the first fitness influencers, right? You saw like Muscle and Fitness magazine, but moving to YouTube. And the second was like the first like horrendous red pill debates. You had people doing like stuff like fat shaming and online bullying and harassment, which was for a relatively short period of time, it was a very severe problem, right? Right. And so, I like, obviously, like anyone working out, I focus on what I can focus on. But I try to, like, I think people doing social media should be cognizant that their audience, if you're an expert at fitness, your audience might have a different body type, a different lifestyle, a different diet, different types of exercises they're good at, different types of exercises they're good to do, right? I'm good to go. Different types of exercises where their body naturally recovers quickly from, right? I'm talking on the phase of 15 seconds to 15 minutes to 15 hours, right? And so, yeah, fitness influencers should make content for both large people as well as like, very, very skinny people, as well as like professional bodybuilders and CrossFit athletes, all of them. Everybody get on that train, baby. When I get affirmative, please don't say that. Please don't say that. It is not great to have, one thing I'll say is just about validation and recognition is if you have a smaller subpart of your, like maybe maybe a person's confident, but as you keep kind of going, you realize someone criticized you or said something rude or mean, and then you start feeling this sort of need for social recognition or social appreciation. And so I would just say, don't be that person, right? It's very rare that someone's appearance or they're like, they're like, I'm a college recruiting coach, their biomarkers. Yeah, their biomarkers are what I'm actually talking. You don't actually know any of that stuff. So don't talk that stuff. Don't talk that stuff. Why are you sweaty and messy and just unhygienic? Why am I sweaty and messy? I don't know. I honestly don't know. So I like Bob's. Everyone thanks to Bob. He's the moderator on duty right now. And Bob's been to a couple streams. Very cool. I like Bob. He says applesauce. I think that about sums it up from my perspective. So, Duck, are you against animal products, bro? What's with all these duck questions, man? I will answer that question. Yeah, I don't buy them or support them myself. I also, if you want really strict, I could do moral stance arguments against vegans buying all plant-based and vegan products, right? There's some claim about the world there. And so, yeah, the most upset I've been about an animal product is there's a brand in the US called Corn, and they call themselves, meat-free protein. They're in the vegan section, and they use egg whites in the product. So my purchase of corn chicken nuggets was very upsetting because they were not vegan. I thought they said they were. Do I support LGBTQ+? Yeah, I try to. Yeah, you guys don't know me and Bob. Me and Bob and I think a couple other people in chat, we came from, you guys heard about MK Ultra because that's always what they want you to hear about. We came from MK Beta. And it was called MK Beta so people wouldn't know what it was about, but it was about experimenting to make Sigma males. And so in the MK Beta program, you learned that in the correct hands, a 10-pound weight could not only be used to exercise, but it could be a tool for social engineering. It could also be a tool for tactical deployment of both hard and human military resources if the time ever would arise. But at the same time, that doesn't technically split the difference between Hugo Boss and Armani. But you know that already, so I just want to make that clear. Yeah. Am I Jake Luster? Goblin, good to see you, bro. No, Goblin keeps comparing me to some dude with a large knocker. A large knocker. Zambro says, I like Trump. Cool. Cool. MAGA. Yeah. I think I got tears in my eyes the first time Trump got elected because I subconsciously, my mom knew that Donald Trump was going to disrupt the political environment. I was like, oh my God, it's so quiet for just a second, right? For one fucking second, guys, just shut the fuck up. I love those videos of old dudes and old ladies and stuff when they're go the fuck to bed or whatever. Those are always really funny. That's how I feel about politics some days. I know it's not the right answer. There's something productive that our nation's politicians can be doing. If there's something productive that political activation is trying to accomplish, it's go do that stuff. But, whoops. Dane Gunn, I can read this message, says Trump sucks the S's on the Russian D. We don't care. Yeah. Russian society, Slavoj Zizek describes the evolution of Russian society, at least through Stalin, as almost this push-pull of power that operated within authoritarian and collective Bolshevik policies, actual Leninism and stuff. And so, yeah, it's just interesting. I can imagine a very rich history. And yeah, I can imagine a rich history, and I can also sort of appreciate that in the United States we have our own sort of versions of controversies. It would seem really unjust to put someone in jail for a lifestyle choice. That sounds absurd. And yeah, jailing political opposition and stuff like that, yeah, it's just a bummer. There's probably always excuses and stuff. But the way I see, yeah. So, kind of cutting through to I think brass tacks is we've seen it, Israeli and Palestinian, as well as sort of Pakistani, and a lot of places in India, have corruption in the election, which is maybe worse or less than corruption in the system, or you don't agree or disagree. And so, it's just funny. It doesn't work in some way or some sense when you try to have a conversation or dialogue. The people don't sing and dance for you anymore. Bummer, bro. Bummer. Bummer. What about vowel sounds? Vowel. Vowel. Do you guys know vowel sounds? Do you guys know chicken tikka masala? Chicken tikka masala. Chicken tikka masala. Dane says, I don't care about politics. Russian owns the Ukraine. Cool. That's going to solve a lot of stuff for everybody. We're all the same at the end of it. Scott Keller, I need a shave and a haircut. Thank you, bro. Appreciate y'all. Forgiving Dragon. He has bigger issues. Jesus is the answer, brother. Yeah. God's too busy for you. So that's my critique of that type of statement. If I was doing Matt Dillahunty right now, I would say that kind of BS. But I'm not, here's what I'm a former Catholic. One of the things I said shortly after deconverting, I said this to myself, was just God wouldn't care about having a heaven and hell, because it would still be the case that living a moral life would be the thing that is most important to us, right? And so a more mature version of this same statement is, well, if there is a God and he just happens to be, he, she, they, this being just happens to be like you imagine them, aren't you gambling quite a bit that you're talking about a God who gives a shit? Who gives a shit and thinks about things the same way you do? You just trust in the way of the world, and you make things harder for this guy. I don't buy it at all, right? I'm closer to Philip Goff. Let's talk about a minimally necessitated version of God if we're going to talk about theism. I don't want a maximally great God that is so great, then I can do whatever the fuck I want. Get out of here, baby. Jesus might be the answer. We know I could grant you that in the Bible, there is a person who had what I can also grant you had a close to perfect, I'll grant you close to perfect form of living in the gospel. And this is an absolutely true story. It constitutes knowledge when you read and study the gospel. Close to perfect, reading the gospel. And so, okay, what else is there to talk about then? I granted you that. Jesus is the answer, brother, man. I disagree. I want to work 10 times harder than that fucking book lets me. That book tells me to take my foot and put it on the fucking brake pedal. I'm not going to listen to that shit. No offense. I can grant you that it's a beautiful story. We can talk about it sometime, but sorry. I don't mean to be offensive. That's how I feel. That's triviality. If you guys want to be trivial, if you guys don't want to be trivial, then you'll pass it off to your brother. Am I my brother's keeper? Well, I'll let him out of the cage when he finishes that math homework that the rest of society assigned him. I love oil. I love getting money. Are you Jesus reincarnated? Daryl Parker, if you want to talk to me about... I'm doing this thing. It's called a cult, you see. We're working into it. If you want to talk to me about book production... don't tell anyone in chat though. Yeah, commercials, a 24/7 call-in line for the commercials. I'm not Jesus though, so we just have to act like it is. The Bible does not say nowhere that it is acceptable to venerate saints. Paul is not a Francis Fukuyamian Roman Catholic patriot Protestant. Everybody in the US is a Roman Catholic, just so y'all know. And if you're not being a Roman Catholic, or even if you are a Roman Catholic in the United States, you're also an atheist. There you guys go. Welcome to America. That's the real end of history. We can all be Catholic. We can all be, politically, we can all be Roman Catholic. Politically, you have to be an atheist. And those are the only two answers. What? Is anyone talking down there? What's up? Hey, what's up, Duck? Let me know, guys. What did I nail or what did I not? Brother Abdullah Official, I'm a Muslim. Respect. Hey, respect to you as well. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I stopped going on, but I would go on one. There was a Dawa channel. Sometimes they would have open conversations about atheism and science and stuff. I did a couple of those. Really nice people. Really nice people. Great to talk to. You know, some of the conversations got a little too debatey for my own personality, but the layman review. This is equivocation, right? The layman review says he would disrespect Jesus but not Islam. Okay, so you're going to tell me to put information on the top of my head and see how far it falls through me, like all information, right? And the information you decided to tell me to allow into my ears and then crawl up my skull and then drop down was that Jesus is the answer to a question which was not asked. So not only is this out of context and slightly gaslighty, but the information that now I'm supposed to try and funnel into my head, I'm not allowed to, in your worldview. You're fascist. See, this isn't theological. This isn't Protestant. That's not Christian. That is fascism. That is fascism right there. To say that I get to sit here and right now 41 people get to sit here and listen to someone else's bullshit who was trying to have a conversation. They themselves did not say I stepped out of line, but if I said something that was bullshit, anyone said that, and so you step in here and disrespectfully say that I wouldn't attack Islam, so I'm a bad guy. All of that for that, buddy. What's up? What do you think? You think that's appropriate to say shit like that when there's young folks, there's old folks who've been having a bad day in this chat? Bullshit. Bullshit. If you know how to bring it out of me, do it. What do you think? I'm not a nice guy? Yeah, bullshit. I'll say without a doubt, God exists. Religious dogma is BS in my opinion. Yeah, keep going with that, Bob. I love that stuff. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Come on, Bob. Come on, man. Ground me a little bit, brother. Brother, sister, person, ground me. Come on, guys. That bullshit. I'm not going to say shit back to that. Bullshit. I mean, you've talked crap about Christians and said respect to Muslims. Yeah, well, I said I went on a Dawa channel. Obviously, I disagreed on a Dawa channel. A Dawa is like a Muslim version of an apologetics channel. So if you guys know people like Andrew Wilson or Jim Bob or some of the more serious, like William Lane Craig apologists, Dawa does the same thing. So I go, and if someone decides and asks to argue with me they ask for people to discuss and debate Islam with from an atheist perspective. And they say, hey, if you're an atheist in the audience, feel free to come up and stream in front of, 20, 30, 80 people on the internet. I'll say, okay, cool. I don't care. It's not about my channel, whatever you guys want to talk. I know a decent amount about natural philosophy. I know a decent amount about modern philosophy. I come from a religious background. I don't have to have a lot of baggage that I bring with me, right? I'm clear. I'm like Larry Bird. I'm perfectly clear, right? But yeah, if you guys want to talk about whatever, yeah, I've argued about surahs. I've argued that surahs are an inferior form of axiomatic reasoning, or not surahs, whatever it is. I forgot the name. There's a very important part of the Quran that outlines an axiomatic reason to believe in God. And, if this is a logical way to approach interpreting other types of knowledge into the text, you should think it's very important. And I've argued against that kind of stuff. That's 10 times more brutal, right? Liver King on something else. Colosso Puppets, your username looks so cool. Good to see you. God isn't a tolerant person. Why would he make hell? And this man is miserable. They need to look for God. Hey, what's up, Graham? How are you? How are you, bro? How are you, Graham? 13 Testament in total. They're just a journal, but for some reason, the majority are locked away. Holy yap. Hey, what's up, Detroit Lions? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, God isn't, so God being tolerant and also being a solution. Yeah, it's difficult. If I'm supposed to do theology, like just, yeah, I like doing this stuff. Don't tell my atheist friends, but yeah, in the Old Testament, there is a argument to be had if people can have it appropriately, if you are responsible enough, that this Hebrew God of the Old Testament, he's always chastising, teaching, guiding, incising, interdicting. There's interdiction. He gets in the middle of Jewish people's lives in the Old Testament quite a bit. And he tells you when you fucked up, right? If you had the responsibility, there's human stories in the Old Testament as well. And so there's an argument to be made that we were all, just what resonates with me, we all and always are, our nature is these sort of backwards, flawed people. And so these stories about God, when you grant that they're taken literally and about God, it's God working within and around in a godly way with the human consciousness bumping into things, our human minds. I don't believe that personally, obviously. Like, you got to be obvious about it, bro. No, but yeah, I think there's a justification for narratives about God. Yeah. Well, what type of God is that then, right? Do we accept that there is an evangelical, a God that almost borrows from this sort of destroyer archetype, this creator-destroyer archetype, when we see God and the Holy Spirit being so loud and obnoxious into human life? So, yeah, but axiomatically, this could also be confused for just how humans saw leaders, people who aspired to lead or were forced to lead by social mechanisms and psychology that we had no way to explain at the time, right? This is kind of where like Freud is a little bit useful and kind of cool. It's a cool way to explore the world, the Muslim Joseph, right? The Muslim Joseph who's got this long story. I learned this on Dawa channel, by the way. Yeah, I'm not going to criticize Islam, and then I'm also going to tell you what I learned at Dawa, even though I'm not Muslim. No, but this Joseph story, right? He's some guy who ends up in Egypt. That's how the story ends. He got lied and tricked and all this other stuff. He was treated horribly. And then he eventually becomes like a city manager, governor or something in Egypt. But this sort of story is like, well, now, like Daniel Kahneman would tell us that, like, Daniel Kahneman wrote Thinking Fast and Slow. He's a behavioral economist, a neuroscientist. Patricia Churchland and Paul Churchland are both neuroscientists and philosophers. And he would say that, like, look, well, I would know the snapshot of the brain before these sort of decisions were made. And we should be able to tell that, Joseph was in a situation where people had low trust for him. People had high confidence in themselves or something else. People already were perceiving utility in different ways, where Joseph was also perceiving utility in some way. And so while one explanation doesn't require psychology, and we can see that a man like Joseph who's committed to God, isn't promised that, there's no injustices that happen against them, but they ultimately come out ahead. There's a reason to take this very seriously and philosophically. Go find it. Go find it, or something. Don't break your head over it, but go find it. Don't don't drink yourself to death. Instead, study this book, right? Study this book. Don't drink yourself to death, for God's sake. But modern psychology, modern neuroscience, modern evolutionary psychology would tell us that, well, yeah, there's probably something about someone having a strong moral sense about them, socially, that people recognize. But there's also possibly a reason that there's nothing linear within that. There's maybe some collinear process where if you always make ethical choices, at some point people will look for you when they need a leader, when they need a spiritual guide. And the reason that isn't because you're a scam artist, or you want to run scams because you're a scam artist. The reason for this is actually instead that it's just humans don't have 16-year-old brains, right? We have, by the time you get to age 30 or 40 or older, you have a mature brain. You have a more delicate sense about the world, and that really comes through. That comes through quite a bit, actually. You would start seeing that the delicate sense about the world is this invitation to to just play that role in society. Oh my God, it's Jesus. Colton Lilly, what's going on? Wondering how the Democratic movement pulls votes from the conservatives. Hey, Alicia, good to see you tonight. Good to see you tonight. We were just been talking a little bit about the Dawa. We've got some of our Muslim brothers here, so shout out to them. We've got some of the Christian brothers here. Shout out to them. I myself am secular. Wondering how. I feel like Alicia just asked like an actual question and it broke my brain. I'm just gonna say this. I'm in Christian religious theology science track. How the Democratic movement pulls votes from the conservatives. The Roman Catholics for sure. Roman Catholics. It's always the Catholics, baby. That's my answer. Soccer, good to see you. We spent about an hour talking about Francis Fukuyama and the end of history. That's what I was talking about. And we covered reasons to democratic peace theory. Democratic peace theory is a great argument for democracy being a good system, and there's reasons why that's not true. Slim, good to see you. Ben, what's going on? Vic, Robin, some of us believe God loved Jesus is synonymous. I'm stressing over your Freud statement. So the Buddhist solution to this problem, and I understand you, Robin. I hope I understand the question. I understand you. I understand the question. I don't understand what you want, but the Buddhist solution is that there's a paraconsistent version of reality, which means that you're right to say, if you believe that God, love, and Jesus is synonymous, someone in the world can tell you you're right about that. Someone in the world would say this is true. And in fact, you can go to church and all the time you're gonna consistently confirm that this is true. You're gonna consistently confirm that this is true. And the other side of it, the paraconsistent side, is that because you have a bias towards the text, if that's what it is, not trying to deconstruct anything, but if you have a bias towards the text, and maybe sometimes we are guarded or something, right? Doing some palm readings. Sometimes we're guarded around a text. Everyone in chat right now, then you are not extracting and making as important as you should the other really important words and texts and vowel sounds, right? Vowel sounds. So the frequencies by which our brains, bodies study a religious text when we meditate completely changes. Do you understand? Does this make sense? I would hope that this makes sense. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Trying to figure it out. Are y'all a bunch of CIA hackers? Were y'all a part of Project Paperclip? Sedona Vertex, bro. Shred the gnar, man. Hell yeah, bro. I've been to Sedona. Sedona is fucking crazy. When you drive into Sedona, very famous city in the US. It's got beautiful red rocks. Yeah, beautiful red rocks. It's right outside. It's the high desert outside of a forested area. Beautiful place. And yeah. Oh no, not my windows, man. Dude, I got blinds on my windows. I want to get my blinds heat treated as well, bro. But yeah. So yeah, Sedona's really sick though. You drive up, and when you get about like 40, 50 miles outside of it, you see these like massive red peaks just emerge in the distance. And then when you get there, it's one of those places where, like, you know, there's the ineffability. Ineffability is like a very mature adult word for things you can't totally explain. Not because they're unexplainable, but it's just the state that a person is at that time. But some of the reds in Sedona, and you know, if there's been rain, you know, some of the greens of the plants, like the contrasting colors in Sedona is like crazy cool, crazy beautiful. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place, baby. Yeah. Yuck. Nasty, bro. Nasty. I'm telling you what nasty is. Let's go. Good to see all y'all. If you guys want to like and subscribe, it does support the channel. I hate when people say that shit. We should social engineer and hack our way out of that. Yeah, if you guys like talking philosophy, politics, if you guys like talking about religion, if you like having honest conversations, you can talk down to me, you can talk up to me, and I will fix that latter one for you. If you guys like watching sometimes fitness live streams, you guys like engaging in chat, if you guys maybe in the future want to do some open panels, I hosted one the other day. Probably should do one again coming up soon on the PC version of these streams. Feel free to like and subscribe. So you got the react buttons on the bottom right of your screen, and the bottom center, you've got the chat. I try and get to you guys if I'm monologuing, if I'm speaking into the void, talking a little bit of that patented duck gibberish. I will try and catch up with you guys in a little bit. But yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for wasting a couple minutes of your life with me here. And I appreciate all of you. Philosophy and politics. Yeah, philosophy and politics is amazing. You know, you take a very critical question. Here's what I had planned for you guys today. Everyone, I wanted to talk about a very silly question. Do you guys think P. Diddy himself, actual Sean Combs, planned that the jury would drop the 3 most serious charges that federal prosecutors had passed on to him? Wouldn't Diddy have had to have planned this? This is all back into Diddy's sort of grand scheme once he knew he had the indictment. What do you guys think? I'll wait just a second. Someone in chat help me out. What do you guys think? Did Diddy plan for the jury? And listen to what I'm telling you. Did Diddy plan for the jury to drop the 3 most serious charges federal prosecutors brought against him? Tell me why, Aaron. Tell me why right now. Maybe if you were a criminal justice major or a political science major, if you were taking a class on theories of law, why don't you care about Diddy? Why don't you care? Why don't you think it's? Why were you so excited to talk about whether or not Diddy planned this? Right? Not at all. My bad. Sorry, guys. That's it for the day, baby. Adam PNW. This is a they call it strawberry. It's nicotine though. It's nasty. So nasty. It is nasty, bro. My mom keeps me safe from she tells me I should quit. She sometimes buys orange juice and stuff, so vitamin C, black beans have high antioxidants. Let's see, we got the algorithm. Oh, you can say that. Why Most Wanted says, before I shat my pants. Before I shitted my pants. Yeah, Diddy. So the reason I think Diddy may have planned this is that the media campaigns that were not about victims' rights or understanding the story, they were about sort of the intrigue of this. Well, if I'm P. Diddy, I would know all of a sudden that the world is telling me that I have this ability to tell my side of the story in the context of a criminal trial, just like the Trump administration apparently, federal prosecutors apparently seem to have a lot of physical evidence, right? I know sort of nasty and gross, but they appeared to have all this physical evidence that seemed to just propel itself forward in the public zeitgeist. And while Diddy may have been a bad actor in Hollywood, it maybe wasn't a priority. And so, people's psychology, our brains, the sort of neuroactivity in our brains said, well, look, I can have a lot of fun around P. Diddy. Now there's social context for this, right? I don't have to think someone brought up Ted Kaczynski while looking at my beautiful face earlier. They saw me and they thought Ted Kaczynski. Just in my view, can you see a guy writing a manifesto and actually muck ducking people, attempting to in artfully committing horrible maiming and murderous acts of violence against people? This is the same as a deviant guy with sexual fetishes and someone who charitably, because of this, also acts as a sexual predator. They're perhaps both very serious. The law needs to answer to both, but why is one narrativized now and the other isn't? Very strange, very strange. Ted Kaczynski, very clear case. If you say Ted Kaczynski, it's a bad guy. That's what people hear from you. The reality of seeing social phenomenon emerge and trying to attach an individual to it doesn't make any sense. But when you see that individual then creating a blanket, sort of a blanket mea culpa to have not understood something, it's just wild. It's crazy. Carmelo Anthony, what is beneath the surface about it? I forgot what I said. I'm much more concerned about Trump out golfing when Texas had a terrible tragedy. Unacceptable. Yeah, the Texas floods. I'm not quite there yet. Yeah, I saw Greg Abbott giving a speech in Texas. If you guys didn't hear, there were a river in Texas rose 30 feet in just a couple minutes, and it killed 15 or 16 people under the age of 18, kids, and a bunch of other people. And so, very tragic event. Yeah, Suresh Strong says Diddy hired the absolute best defense lawyers in the country. That character assassinated his victims. This blindsided people from the truth. Yeah, that seems like a fairly deeply considered sort of narrative. Yeah, I wouldn't. Would. If I was a federal prosecutor and I was looking at that, I was looking at this as what the strategy is. My sort of instinct would be wondering how solid my own foundation of physical evidence and testimony is together, and I would be looking at those linkages of those two things for the jury, and I would be looking at those linkages along with the evidence and understanding sort of the timeline. Is the timeline and the people and all that kind of stuff, is that as solid as we think it is? For such a public case, I would have thought they had more of that. That's why it doesn't always matter, right? I guess we had O.J. Simpson. I'm sure there's plenty of trials where people have gotten off and stuff like that. Yeah, there's lots of trials and stuff where people have gotten off because of changes in the world. The world is changing. The world's evolving. We're all inclusive, right? We're a global community. So the P. Diddy case, yeah, it is. Maybe if some people have fun talking about it, some people can develop really nuanced opinions about it. Cassie was 19. Yeah. I've always felt, my opinion has always been that, well, look, if you have criminality occurring, it's not uncommon statistically that a person has been a prior victim of abuse, and then that abuse sort of carries over into whatever that career path is. That's always possible for sure. And so when people want to create social context, if you want to create social sort of connections between victim stories or between the evidence, right? If the context you want to create is an actual conviction, then the thing that you go like sort of try and achieve, I would imagine, is just different, right? I would imagine what the legal team is actually working on both sides looks a little bit differently, right? It looks about like what a person maybe knew or knows before or after an event, and it tries to just seek the truth, right? If I only have physical evidence, if I don't have a story but I have physical evidence, P. Diddy was within or adjacent to like a crime, like, I'm obviously not a lawyer, but I would be like, okay, cool. Well, what I have to do if he's not going to talk to us, if him and his lawyers aren't going to work with us, then what I have to do is I have to say that the presence of the physical evidence, irregardless of his character, is enough to get a guilty verdict, because that's what I'm trying to do. And if he wants to say something different, if he wants to be an asshole about it, then it gets worse. It gets worse for you. It has to get worse because there's a lack of truth despite what seems like a preponderance of evidence. Is that not true? Doesn't seem like it. As a private citizen, I feel like they just didn't have enough evidence or they fucked up the case. I don't know. I was going to bring up mass shootings and stuff like that. We talked about The End of History, which was an essay by Francis Fukuyama. I probably got to update and refresh my Iran memory and stuff tomorrow. I hope I wake up tomorrow and there's a peace deal between Hamas and Israel. I hope Bibi Netanyahu and Hamas see themselves as not playing games anymore and capable of reaching a peace deal. Sun Tzu, you are a moron. Make America great again. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. If you guys want to like and subscribe, cool. Do lawyer Diddy stuff or whatever the heck ever, something, whatever. I'd love to see you guys all again. I'd love to see you all again. My problem is not thinking about the sort of depths of the legal strategy in the P. Diddy case. It is how any strategy, and stick with me, strategy in general for just a moment, right? Strategy in general for just a moment becomes praxis, becomes action in the world. It becomes a thing which creates history and creates truth. How can this be the case? How can this be the case? I rarely get this opportunity for someone. I rarely get this opportunity to be someone who creates art, shares it. Why not? Come on. It must be the case. You know, just real quick for anyone who does YouTube, I feel like sometimes people like me who are just streaming, so poor, your buddy duck, just streaming on a cell phone, try to compete with like the automated gimbals and stuff, like AI gimbals. You can't. You can compete maybe with microphones, but the one thing you're never going to be able to compete with is a gimbal. I totally promise you that. Total nonsense. BS, bro. Bye. Peace. Bye. Yeah. Running games on YouTube. Kick Duck off his own channel. Get this guy out of his own channel. Brain rot, baby. I think we have sufficiently got everybody here thinking about Jesus and P. Diddy, Christianity and Diddy, right? Might call it a night fairly soon. I'm not in a huge rush or anything. I am a little bit tired personally, but yeah, there's still 30 of us hanging out and stuff here. There's still 30 of us hanging out here. We've got Bruce, an existentialist. Maybe in the same way that Nietzsche says God is dead, Christianity is dead. What do you guys think? You do look like Jace from Duck Commander. I don't know that one, Vic. I'd have to check it out. Sammy Smith ASMR. I'm listening. Cool, thank you. I appreciate your support. Am I entertaining all of y'all? All y'all, baby. Let's go. Like and subscribe. Let's go. Let's go, baby. People sleeping. Hey, what kind of art? I used to do music, actually. I used to play music. I was passionate. I wasn't that technically talented. I had a good ear. And aesthetic taste. I didn't have a lot of technical skills. I didn't have no skills, right? I understood, a bar of music. If you showed it to me, I would understand that there are different things that I could do. I didn't understand how to sort of internalize and then externalize. I could just very effectively externalize passionate artwork, sometimes great songwriting. Yeah, great doesn't mean that it's always good. Great doesn't mean that it's a commercial product, but I could pick up a guitar if I was at like a party or something, or, like my wife would listen to me play and stuff, like when I played. So yeah. Yeah, even if someone's not listening, I would still play. Jesus was a liar and a fraud. Literally, Jesus is saying he himself was literally a fraud. Did Jesus have a gender? If a perfect person, he's God's son. Did he die God's son? Play Freebird. Oasis got back together. I don't know if you guys saw that in the news. We'll do a quick culture segment. Yeah, Oasis. So Noel Gallagher, I think is the guy's name. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. But Oasis, one of the most commercially, culturally relevant. They play, today is gonna be the day that we're gonna bring it back to you. And by now, you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. And I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Do 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 do. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. And I'm sure, so that Oasis, right? Yeah, I said maybe, You're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, that Oasis is getting back together. They're doing a whole tour. Who knows? Maybe because Taylor Swift's Eras tour was the most commercially successful tour, maybe the most successful entertainment venture in the history of entertainment. So who knows? I'm not one of these people who is a market watcher for Hollywood or for, the big LA studios. I'm also not like a big culture observer most of the time. But it's also kind of cool to see some of these large events like Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, or in this case, you see a very easily sold out tour. Kind of shows demand from some of these, like almost like, just Oasis, the whole Oasis sort of kit and caboodle. And so I'm very excited, was very excited to see that on the news. I know Tim mentioned, if any of you guys, just for my subset of audience who are, you guys Ducks Y subscribers or people watching who are atheists, Tim mentions a really funny, sort of like, he does very passionate, almost this like uncomfortable but very easy to listen to sort of funny music. He's an atheist. He did a tour in the US recently. He's been doing more on social media, so that's awesome to see. Yeah, he's like the red-haired version of Ricky Gervais, I think. Yeah, literally Jesus Knows Tim mentioned one of the songs, Fuck the Poor. He has a song called Fuck the Poor, very funny. So he's a person amongst the people, as only some people are. A person who isn't amongst the people must be against the people, but they're therefore also not a person. So, yeah, thank you, Hassan the Barber Don. I need a haircut. Yeah, one day, bro. Maybe a haircut, not a beard trim. Is that what you're suggesting? It's where my head's at. I do feel kind of nice for like a week. When I do get a haircut, sometimes I will I will trim, the sides of my hair. That's usually good enough. Yeah, it's cool. I always like getting a haircut. I get to sit and listen to the barber. That's important to me. Barber, or, just the hair ladies, always very nice. They're always very friendly. They're always very supportive. I don't feel like, I always feel like people are going to judge me because I have a long beard or long hair. It's not because I'm like, it's like I don't have OCD. And so shout out to anyone. If you do have OCD and it's like symptomatic mental illness, whatever, I'm not being weird, but yeah, shout out to you guys. Sucks that you guys have to put up with a bunch of bullshit from online internet speak or whatever. But yeah, I love talking to people at the barbershop or whatever it is. And yeah. JKU Aaron is rolling around in a repossessed Civic Type R. They actually found it, and instead of the CD player being ripped out, it had been replaced with a better version of it, says Aaron, says JKU Aaron. So Aaron had his car stolen and upgraded and then apparently returned. Good for you, brother. Hypertension. Yeah, hypertension. Yeah. I wonder if I get a haircut, if I'm going to now want to go out and, open a PayPal credit card and all that other bullshit. Whatever. Am I a Christian? No, I'm secular. I am secular. Is that okay to say? Nope, I'm secular. I don't do a ton of like online Christian atheist debates. I know that's like a topic some people do. But I'm not a Christian. I like theology. I like metaphysics. Former Catholic. not super educated, I was never super evangelical. I always loved social justice, dignity, those types of words. 666, it's the mark of the beast. Yeah. Ismail, good to see you, brother. Good to see you, person. Cheers from Phoenix. Great to see you. I gotta kick my legs out a little bit, guys. Folks. Did God save Trump to defeat the... Hey, Johnny, good to see you. That statement is literally all... my perspective is that sounds and looks like you are trying to get to an argument or a point that you are passionate about. As it sits, if you're asking me, did God save Trump to defeat gay trans Democrats? I'll pin it up for just a second, just so I can unpin it immediately, because you're not saying the thing you wanted to say, or you are saying what you wanted to say. Yeah, the gay trans Democrats, just to my LGBTQ audience, the history of civil rights, of people taking that word dignity and using it properly, it includes, I think, a lot of people, and it also goes back and extends into the civil rights movement. Really difficult to draw a line. And you can also talk about how even the civil rights movement, and any civil rights movement, is this sort of constructivist, very respectful way to say this, very intelligent way to say this, is almost this constructivist thing that goes back to people having questions or challenging the way society is organized in the first place. The order of the day, that implies a lot of power mechanisms. So maybe people just imagining a different material world is what someone who's a little more conservative but tries to be an ally, tries to support progressive politicians. I know it's really hard sometimes, but yeah. And so that's all I would say, is that I think if Donald Trump is suggesting some people are less deserving of dignity, he's actually digging into, or if he's saying Americans deserve more dignity than they have, and for some reason, this is competitive, or we've got hard choices we have to make. Well, this is just like, it sounds more like this sounds like this sort of Steve Bannon psychobabble, right? This sounds like it wasn't an idea that was well thought out or that's happening or something. It doesn't sound like this is, it's not reality. So, Hey, what's up, AH, Autistic Horse Chungus? Good to see you. John Doe, do I like Denny's? I used to like Waffle House. I went to Denny's a couple times. I went to IHOP more often. Good to see you. Forgive Dragon. John Edward makes a great point. Statistically, 50% of the LGBTQ trans community must be Republicans. Yeah, if we look at, actually, I think to John's point, if we look at prior probabilities, then we also calculate the Schrodinger equation. It turns out that Republicans and sort of Republican issues, yeah, absolutely. Also turns out 100% of people will just say no or yes. Hey, Dominic, good to see you. The trans community needs to find God. Yeah, that's a very strange prescription. Appreciate you saying that. Very strange sort of prescriptive way to address a political issue. The trans community doesn't need, if you don't understand, who knows, Donald Trump, or you don't understand how society works, just like tons of people, right? Tons of people don't understand exactly the social order. Even people being successful don't always understand how a society works. What's the social order of things? What are my responsibilities? So if you need to find God, if I could lasso back, if I have 200 years that I could lasso and I can just find these small moments where there are these paraconsistent success stories or collinear success stories, I would say that it's probably really difficult to say religion plays a profound role. There's a realization in there. Where and this is even granting, if you notice, I'm being charitable. So be kind. We're not going to do any sort of Trump shit with each other, not even once. But yeah, be kind. I'm saying I can grant you that, if you have knowledge of God, you have knowledge of religion, you have knowledge of the perfection, these types of things, those books. Okay, I grant you a version of this. I grant you all of it. And, between us, I grant you a very, toned down version of it. Okay, cool. So, you also then have to grant me that I have knowledge of my own political circumstance and that trans people have knowledge of their political circumstance. And we wouldn't judge Donald Trump and his policies by the least educated voter. So why would you guys then, why would you want to make a priority judging, the trans community because something was uncomfortable or you didn't like it? I'm happy to say that. I'm happy to, not on YouTube mobile, bro, but I would be happy to debate about gender and sex. I'd be happy to show up and show out. I'll bring out the good duck shit. You guys haven't seen me. I'm brutal. I'm a really nice guy most of the time, but when I do the actual debate prep, I will smash that. I will smash the pulpit. I will smash the microphone. I will end the debate. Before it starts. Nasty, bro. Are you on? Johnny, please, bro. Johnny, bro. If y'all are eating a bunch of white bread and shit, do yourself a favor. If you can afford one decent meal at least once a week, please do that for yourself. Give yourself the opportunity to work and learn throughout your week. If you have the opportunity to work and learn in a way that's really, really kind to your mama and daddy, really bringing out the best of you, please do that as well. Some of us are out here and that's how we get down. If you guys don't like that, don't smile, don't frown. Just a penny pound for your thoughts, all that, baby. Let's go. Can I ask you something? Are you Jewish? Afsel, good to see you. I am not Jewish. I am in the U.S. Who knows? I might have Ashkenazi parents, great grandparents from Poland, but I don't believe that I'm Jewish. What else? Why not? Could you ask me if I'm Italian? Come on, bro. Come on, dude. Come on. Not even once, not even a little bit. Let's go. Oh, Afsel, what's up? Ask the question. If you're going to rickroll me, please, if you're going to rickroll me, do so appropriately, bro. Please be at least have that kindness and dignity. Don't burrow under me. Don't burrow under me and ask me a question I don't know the answer to. Softball, lob it up. Think about your words, softball, lob it up to me, baby. I ain't that smart. We've been going 2 hours. Asfel says, where is the nearest? I think you mean Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel is a country style restaurant franchise. They have like old Western like wagons, old Western like lassos, wagons, wood tables, barrels. That sort of the aesthetic is like the aesthetic, the sort of design component is like it's very practical, functional. You have full 4 walls. The house is as high as it needs to be. If it doesn't need to be higher, it doesn't get higher. But I think so where's the nearest Cracker Barrel? I would recommend you use Google Maps, right? All right, let's go. Google Maps, come on, let's go. Yeah, and so, Big Sir. What do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to do right now? What do you guys want to do? How many of y'all are watching? We got 31 of us here. 31 people here. You guys want to see my coolest hat? Let's go. It says, #1 dad. That is my best hat in the world, baby. Finish the motion. Finish the motion. Do like and subscribe. Let's see y'all. Let's see y'all. What are y'all trying to do? Play some Fortnite. I can't live stream. Do you get food stuck in your beard every time you eat? Chance, good question sometimes. But overall, I think the convenience of just saying I'm not going to shave is better than the inconvenience of something like food. I don't think about that. Cook rice. Cook rice, if you would. Cook it. Cook it, baby. Cook it. Caramel, your opinion? Let's see. John Doe's asking for opinions. You're free to be wrong, Bruce, but tell me, what is your proof that he wasn't real? That he never... Oh, whoops. Interjecting. Do you play Fortnite? No, I used to play Halo 3 like an old person. If you guys didn't notice, my stream yesterday was titled Oldish Guy Does Fitness. I'm 35, so I was okay at Halo 4. I do not play. See, huge ass. Yeah, totally, bro. I'm all here for it, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That was the New Testament. 35 is an old Gary Smith bringing the fire. Let's go, baby. Let's go. All day. I love that. I love self-affirmations. What's up? Gang, gang. Do you gangbang? I be outside with my gang. I'm in from the deuce, the 4, the 6 to 8, the 9. I'm from the deuce, the 4, the 6 to 8, the 9. Let's go, baby. Answer the question, Bruce. Bruce, you don't have to answer anybody's question. Answer the question. Don't answer the question. Answer the question. Many things were left out. Sure, you shall. I love that. I love that. Many things were left out. So if I could return, in terms of the Bible and the Book of Mormon and talking about sort of completeness versus coherentism, you can say that you have a complete coherent story about a person, but because I'm autistic, that doesn't mean that much to me, right? And so, epistemically, the way I compensate for that is it turns out I'm secular. I'm an atheist. That's honest, right? You're going to make this book for like a small subset of the population, which is then even for a smaller subset than you imagined you wrote it for, right? This is one of the first things that people do. Like, you can write just based on passion. You can make a YouTube short or whatever just based on passion. But one of the things that you decide when you are putting something out on someone else's platform or for distribution is you pick an audience. You have to say that, like, I'm making something for subscribers, or I'm making something for anyone who clicks the link. I'm making something for people who are going to find this on my Facebook, or, you know, they might find it later on my YouTube profile or whatever, on my Discord. I'm going to go post this on Discord for people to read. All fine, all good things, right? Sign up for a Medium or a Substack. Who cares? Just open a Google document, you know? And so, yeah, that's a question for theists in the chat. That's a question for religious folks, is that if you believe that you created something for any audience, and you actually work that way through and decide how significant a text or a work is, does the Bible meet the criteria that we would say that, well, yeah, this was a book written for anyone? The Bible was a book written for everyone, question mark? Really important question. Now, if we could get just Piers Morgan to kind of take this one, to think about how Piers Morgan would do this. Now, is the Bible written for everyone? I mean, you have animal abuse. So we already know that at least Greta Thunberg isn't going to be, you know, maybe involved in the deepest reading of this text. But at the same time, as it were, dear boy, we see, what's it called? What is it? At the same time, when we talk about the Bible, lad, we see also, you know, crimes of a deviant sort of fetishized nature, which someone takes kindly to or doesn't. Now, so tell me, before the destruction of the earth, what say God of these crimes? Hath no man have love for justice, as it were? Hath no man think about the future? Hath no man have greatness in his heart? Piers Morgan approves. Let's talk about whether or not the Bible was written for everybody. All right. Let's see. You guys want to meet Cerberus? Do you guys know Cerberus? Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Just kidding. The entire Bible, West Coast Vibes says the entire Bible was filled with a contradiction. A contradiction, as it were. Oh, I like Cerberus. Let's go. I like Cerberus. You do not trust anyone, though, yes? All right. Don't trust anyone. Never trust anyone. The Bible is many books. It was many books written by many people. And so it's also useful. This is like tactics in debates and discussions. And this is also a tactic to study or learn more effectively, is like, if I know the Bible was many books and it was written by many people, and I do know that because I'm not a fucking dumbass, I don't need to have a point about sort of the historical, geographical range of this text, or perhaps the narrowness and what else was being produced at that time, right? Is counterintuitively, if I know a lot of different people wrote that, I always have that. I always know this, and I always know that there are both friendly, or if somebody's telling me what to think, you know, and this goes both ways, right? Obviously, if a secular atheist like Duck is telling you what to think, like I'm doing now, I'm telling you to think. So don't tell me how to think when you tell me how to think, bro. Don't tell me what to think when you tell me to think. If you're thinking like you're thinking how I want to think, bro. Yeah, and so if I already know, as just a tactic to understand the Bible better, if I know it's a book written by different people at different times, and I know it was eventually assembled, I know each text was individually translated, I know that each text probably was written from some perspective or lens for someone else in a society. I know that there's probably varying level of clarity across the Old and New Testament for who that was that wrote that book and who they wrote it for. And in some cases, there may be nothing empirically or epistemically that we can actually say with confidence about those things. And yet we have a book that people in 2025 and throughout all of history have said was divinely inspired. And so that's fascinating. You know, this appears to be necessarily a story that may not be about the Bible. It may not be about faith. It may not be about religion, but it is a story about how social identity sort of preserves these ideas. Maybe you make more than that than I do. I don't make a ton of it, but yeah, it's the biggest idea in history. But put that idea back in, like, the out of Africa thesis, and the fact that we had like 20 to 30 species of Homo erectus, different versions of humans that died out in Africa before we got out of Africa, right? That is the story preceding the story of civilization and government and religion and sort of these utility mechanisms existing in a society. Hey, what Nub's Revenge? Hey guys, just a quick reminder, our own chat rules, no harassment in chat, no bullying. We have auto moderator on YouTube. So I'm trying to check if you guys send a message that's blocked, not for rules purposes, but I try to check it. Love you guys contributing. You guys have sent close to like 5,000 messages in just the last week, 5,000 chat messages. Makes a great experience for a lot of people. And hopefully it's fun, right? It's fun, or it's better than the alternatives. If you guys like doing this once a week or whatever, like and subscribe. If you guys want to hang out more often, I stream daily. If you guys want to do it once a month, like and subscribe. And yeah, very cool. It's great to have everybody here. Helium, water. What are two helium atoms doing together, bro? You answer me that first, and then I'll shave my beard, dude. Haley Kirshner says Jesus and God. Yep, yeah, Jesus and God. Very cool. Did you learn the difference? Watching this chat tonight, this is like watching my mom and dad fight when I was a kid, dude. This is brutal, bro. This is brutal, guys. Give it some space, okay? If there's like a serious conflict, just remember that there's like if you guys get into an online debate, just give it a little bit of space. Just remember that a greater focus that is still bounded and reasonable. This is my personality and opinion. Is that, like, look, if I'm having a bad day, or I'm having trouble figuring out what I can work on or should work on, and maybe this isn't healthy, I just remember there's still like people starving someplace in the world, and that's partially because of my lifestyle, as it were. All right, cool. It's a clarity motherfucking finder, right? No shit. Bro is Jesus. Y'all are tempting me to start a cult. Y'all are tempting me to write a spiritual book. Y'all are tempting me to write a book on masculinity. Y'all are tempting me to work on my southern accent. Y'all are tempting me in all kinds of ways. And what I did learn when I was a Catholic is something I hold close and dear to my heart, even now that I am an atheist, is that you say no to Satan. Anytime you see Satan, you got to reject him. You can't accept him at all. And I'll tell you this is one thing that I've learned, especially in the last couple of years, is that Satan can appear in strange forms. Satan can appear in a form that tells you that you're doing something good for someone close to you, even though it isn't good in general, right? And so those are the types of sort of observations, I'd say, that really convince me that, the world's a good place. Even though people accuse me all the time, they say, Duck, you're an atheist. You're not allowed to say that good exists. Atheists can't have normative ethics. And I say, well, that's hogwash. How do you explain Satan then? You explain that back to me, if you would. See, somebody sending a blocked message. You're dumb. You can say that James is a Pete show. Someone else, YouTube's all finicky about that stuff. So I'm glad they blocked that. I'm going to go ahead and keep that hidden. But James, I appreciate you. You know nothing about like masculinity? Yeah, dude. Yeah, but I study masculinity every time I go to the gym, bro. Every time I go to the gym, bro. Have you ever rolled up a sleeve? Look at that, man. What is that? That's the skinniness, right? That's the skinniness, baby. Get like a robot, baby. If you ask me really nicely, I'll give y'all red pill lessons one day. Rick, Lori, Carl, get Carl, Lori. So nasty, dude. I'm so nasty. 6'2". How tall are you? I'm like 5'10", 5'11". I'm short, actually, as it turns out. What is your disability exactly? I don't know. I was born in 1989, so I'm a millennial. Some people say that's a disability. I don't think that's true. I don't know though. I don't know, bro. No offense, guys. What state are you from? I'm from Arizona in the United States. Estados Unidos, my friend. Mejor. Elvio Junio, good to see you. Or Junio. Thanks for saying hi. Mika Neron, hi. Good to see you. James, thank you. I appreciate you. If that's what do I do here? Live streams. That's it. Emo, are you a? If I was, I wouldn't tell you. Aaron Williams, surfer. No, dude. Nah, man. I used to love Baja tacos, though. No, I'm not a surfer. Disease 60 plus apply. Cool. The formation of Satanism is more so set up like a scapegoat as a result of Christianity. Satan is a spiritual. So Dope is now talking about something I know about again. Again, I'm an atheist, but I will talk about Satan as this spiritual sort of like a spiritual concept in that sense, but not like spiritual in as much as like, I don't want to say like natural philosophy, talking about the sciences, because I'm an atheist, isn't ever going to understand Satan in the way I think it actually exists. But I think of like nature plus one, right? That's the most I would say about it. No offense. I'm very much into, material descriptions of the world. And when they fit things, that's kind of where I go to. But again, Satan, this is something I learned about when I was religious, and I'm still that way, to be honest. So that nature plus one type deal, I think, you put an exclamation point, right? That's the mathematical sort of explanation in terms of the like scientific stochastic nature of it. But yeah, I could go deep on Satan one day with you guys. Do you guys want to see that? Hit like and subscribe if you guys want me to talk about Satan one day. If you're just tuning in, like seriously, you might be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But I think in reality, there's like a lot of value to my thoughts. I think there's a lot of virtue to this, like, this sort of idea that you have science, and whenever you try and find something true, science, because I'm doing atheism right now. Someone's going to take this seriously, but yeah, you got to be able to find that like reason that nature isn't true, right? That's like what I'm really trying to get to. No offense, guys. No offense, everyone. Yeah, Bruce asks, like, that's a hardball question, man. And see, that's why I take offense with Bruce right now. He's saying, who is Lucifer in relation to Satan? Like, who are you, bro? Are you Chris Hansen right now, right? Like, like what's Paul Manafort doing, right? Isn't that the same thing? Might as well ask where Hillary is, right? Who's Lucifer in relation to Satan? What is this, like Edward Snowden or something? You got a data breach, Bruce? I don't think so, man. No offense, bro, but okay. And so here's like the honest, like far back, like stone sober had to like nothing because I'm an atheist, but like who is Lucifer in relation to Satan? That's not a good question, right? You're never gonna know that, man. Tiffany Stout says, "What do your wife and kids think of you yelling to yourself?" I don't know. I don't have to answer that fucking question. No offense, Tiffany. I appreciate the inquiry. Enough with this religious talk. Get to the Plants vs. Zombies grind. My God, yes. This man's done it. I haven't done Plants vs. Zombies. That's funny as shit, dude. That's funny as hell. I think so. Plants and Zombies and technology and society. I want to do a technology and society stream one day too. I gotta prep for that kind of stuff. I gotta prep for it. Whatever. It's all about my lifestyle. Boom. Talking about my lifestyle. Talking about my lifestyle. Talking about my lifestyle. It's just my lifestyle. What's up? All right. Carlos, am I a singer? I would do it again. Yep. I eat my own boogers. Yeah, humdinger. Yeah. Yep. If I had wings like Noah's dove, I'd climb the river to the one I love. Fare thee well, my honey, fare thee well. Sending people to outer space with shit. Y'all want to talk about that kind of stuff? Singing stuff? What's that Bob Dylan song? There's a good Bob Dylan cover I heard a while back. You've got a fast car. I gotta wait to get us out of here. Meet you at the convenience store. Maybe we can both get jobs. Finally see what it is to be living. You've got a fast car. Is it fast enough that we can fly away? Maybe we can make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way. 'Cause I remember we were driving in your car. Speed so fast, felt like I was drunk. City lights going on and on. I can't do the high notes. Had a feeling that I belonged, and I had a feeling I could be someone. No good. It's not good. Good singers are good. They make you want to quit. Good singers make you want to quit. Do you guys understand what I said? What is the role of technology in society? Tell me, CIA class MK Beta number 620, just fucking kidding. What is the role of technology in society? What is the role of human beings in society? Would you tell me this? What do you tell me? Tell me. What other songs do you guys want to hear? All right, thank you, Bag Battles Animal Company. Thank you. Here, let's do this very quickly. you get a 10-second timeout. Please stop spamming chat. Thank you. There's people actually talking. There's people who want to say something that I will try to see or someone else wants to respond to. All of that stuff. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for being respectful. All right. Well, I am going to believe you. Bye. That is 86,000 seconds. Please stick around. I appreciate you. Sorry. You look like, yeah, someone else. You're the second one with the Ted Kaczynski connection. Maybe I'm not that mathematical or anything like that. No offense. No offense. Get some rest for real, for real. Okay, sounds good. Kriad. Yeah, shout out to, if we've got any audience in Palestine, Gaza, Israel, the Ukraine, any other conflict zone, in the Great Lakes region. Shout out to you guys. Hope y'all are doing well. Hope your psyche in your society, your community, I hope everything that you got is working for you. Much love from Arizona, honest to God. That's one of those fucking things that if I could do more, if I could wake up, get out of bed a little faster, work a little harder, and do it again the next day to solve those types of things, make life a little better for people who just want to make life a little better for people, I would absolutely do that. You are deserving of dignity and respect. There's a few people who, honest to God, recognize that shit. Let's go, baby. Jess, maybe. Good to meet you as well. Good to see you in chat. You are in Sedona. Sure is strong. No, Sedona's a beautiful place, though. You seem very suspicious. You should be investigated. You look like broke Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. Shadow, what's up? Bro, stop spamming. Cool. I got you, brother. Yeah, we just talk here. We have cool conversations. If y'all have to spam and you do 2 or 3 messages, you know, one of my, if a mod's here, they might, I'm not going to do anything, but if I see, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah, Upstate, you good, bro? Please. No offense. We're not trying to bring the focus on any one thing. Thank you and appreciate that. Yeah, you guys, we have people all over the world. We've got people all different ages, make shape, sizes. You're going to meet someone smarter than you. You're going to meet someone who doesn't know as much as you. So please be respectful to one another. And I am more than happy to have a conversation about any of it. We can get all that stuff tuned up just the right way. If you are curious, I am not that curious of a person. I'll tell you what. I'm curious when I'm on Wikipedia, when I'm doing these live streams. I just want some of y'all to have a good time, fun time. Hopefully we take away, when we stream for 3-4 hours, whatever, if you guys can take away 5 seconds of something useful I said, 5 seconds somebody in chat said, then we are happy. Why are you on live? I don't know, HB. Are we done with the stream, guys? Is this what you guys are telling me? I told you guys 45 minutes ago, and I meant it. Might as well call it a night. Are you on the show fires? If you guys want to catch another stream, you guys want to catch sort of the core topics, you guys want to do some chat debates and stuff like that, chat conversations, feel free to okay, cool. Yeah, all that stuff. Do feel free to like and subscribe. I appreciate seeing people that return. We've got a good community. If you guys want to catch one live stream a month or something, that's awesome. Appreciate whoever's smashing those react buttons. I see you guys. If you guys want to steer me in the right direction, I love that stuff too. I appreciate it, y'all. Hey, Beth, good to see you. What's going on? Beth Mayhew. Beth is awesome. She's one of those people. I've talked to Beth a couple times on the internet, but IRL on the internet. So shout out to Beth. Beth is awesome. Very smart, very savvy, very disciplined, patient, intelligent person. Always good to see you. The bills must be high. Dude, you look like Rasputin, Elijah Wood. Yeah, Elijah Wood was cool. I liked his stuff. I'm not. I'm gonna say something offensive if anyone's here for the poli sci stuff. I'm not a big J.R.R. Tolkien fan. I always felt that novels from a high functioning autism perspective are a little bit what do you call it? A little bit pretentious. Very cool. If there was, and it's not fair to the authors, right? If there's like deep intended character development versus whatever, I'm not going to understand any of that. I'll understand the rest of it, but not that stuff. Not that stuff at all, baby. Let's go. How y'all doing? If you guys are in the US right now, shout out to you guys. I love you all. We've had about 300 people, about 250 subscribe in just the last week or so. So we are growing like hotcakes. We've had almost 100,000 people tune into these streams, about 6,000 chat messages. So that's an awesome sort of indicator that you all are really driving a conversation. If we can get some great topics, I'm going to do my best to not miss. If we do, we'll get it there, right? You know, I want to work 10 times as hard before these live streams so you guys can sort of have a good time, take a load off, whatever. If I'm able to have a great conversation with one or two of y'all via the chat, via this, whatever, the video, that's awesome. If you guys are not from the US, welcome. We are trying to have some globally relevant conversations. I'll bring up US drama and all that stuff. We'll have that social context conversation. We are going to talk and get after it. Do feel free to like and subscribe if you guys want. Feel free to use the react buttons on the bottom right of your screen if you want to leave a chat message. I do my best, unless I'm monologuing, unless I'm covering a topic or giving some news, whatever, relaying some research. I'll go through and check the chat. And per the research, I will try to say hi. If you guys got a question, comment, concern, especially about the topics, I'll pin that on screen and we will talk about it. All that kind of stuff. So great to see y'all. Moon Shadow shirts off. I've been doing a couple fitness streams. I'm going to pull those back a little bit. I don't know yet. But yeah, do subscribe if you guys want to catch a daytime live stream. It's really annoying. I go out running. I don't lift up that much weight. So I love being able to, if someone wants to listen to me talk about fitness, I will share my knowledge about that kind of shit as well. But if you guys, whatever, I'm happy to do that kind of stuff. It's cool. It helps the channel grow, bro. It's so worth it. You know, when I get back from a run in 110 degrees, I'm sweaty as a mofo, but we will still go out there. We'll get 100 reps, 200 reps in. We'll talk about some bullshit for a couple hours. I'll sit in my garage sweating, talking to all y'all. You need a mohawk, Nestor? Hell yeah, bro. I used to have a little mohawk. That was one of the old styles. They would do the top sections here a little bit shorter, nice and short on the side, almost not like a total fade up, not like a total anarchist look, but yeah, hell yeah. I'll adopt a mohawk. If you guys got a mohawk, no offense, but I'll adopt a little bit of what for me, I think of that as for me, my stance, that would be a clown look, right? I do some of that fun shit. We just got to get to 50K subs. Just kidding. Not in my fucking life. Suzette, I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. You tell me. You tell me. All right. And yeah, so fitness streams, nighttime, we cover social topics. We are trying to be a very 2025 channel, trying to be honest, authentic. You guys let me know when we should cut the stream off. I think you guys have told me a couple times tonight, and we are working on that right now. Some of y'all have told me to talk quieter. I think it's the opposite. I want to get a microphone. Just kidding. I don't need a microphone, y'all. You guys want to ask me personal questions? I'm happy to answer. Get to know me. I love getting to know you guys. Love talking about ideas and all that stuff. And yeah, absolutely. Have some fun. Get to know each other and talk about serious topics every once in a while. Not be talking down to. No one speaks down to anyone. No one sets unrealistic expectations here. Do you think, Johnny, good question. I don't have an answer. Damn, I'm down with icy wine and cooling machines. Duck, are you giving out links tonight? Beth, yeah, I'll sign off. He's been, yeah, I don't know if he's on, I don't know if that's a grid show or whatever. If you want to message me in Discord, I'll check it later. I will check it later. I am God. Oops, sorry, I am God. I just saw this. You said growing like hotcakes. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't have to be that way. I don't give a shit. When will you finally admit you are Jake Luster? I don't know who Jake Luster is. I don't know who Jake Luster is. Maybe you can tell me. I don't know. I don't know. No unrealistic expectations. Come on, we play the lotto every day. Yeah. 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 Cool. In every language that I know, growing like hotcakes means what's it called? Growing like hotcakes just means you're rising up, you're growing faster, but you're in the space you're in, whatever. I don't know. I didn't think about it. It's a turn of phrase, right? It's a euphemism. It's one of those euphemisms. Yeah, we do gamble every day, right? We do gamble every day. It's crazy. My version of gambling, and sorry to be make that a serious but I will go out for a run and who knows, maybe I'll stop and do burpees, or I'll stop and do hill sprints or something. If I do too much while I'm running, I know I'm going to get hungry. I'm going to get too tired to keep up with my day, right? And so one form of gambling is pushing ourselves, just our body physically, when we go super hard. When we go super soft or super hard, that's for a form of gambling that's gambling, right? That's gambling in and of itself. It's difficult to gamble or not gamble, right? You got to find that sort of sweet middle spot. We got to be able to find that sweet middle spot. Make sure people understand it. Brian, thank you. I appreciate that well wish. Alien Cowboy Farmer, cool. Good for you. I'm going to go ahead and... Alien, you get 10 seconds ban. I don't like that word. No offense. We can talk about... I'm trying not to be hypocritical. We can talk about, at some point, maybe we can talk about the geopolitical implications of drug smuggling, or the sort of national implications of the drug markets. That'd be cool. Not too casually. Dale Cooper, what's going on, brother? How are you? It's great to see you. Scott Jones, blaze it. Dolby says, I relapsed this weekend after over 5 years of sobriety and being clean. Dolby, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had something good to say, right? At least you're saying it out loud. So that's sort of back to that first step of, if someone's an alcoholic, even being able to say drinking 4 beers in one session is a lot of beers to drink in one session. So, whatever, someone might have better advice, but in terms of that journey, being at that stage means at least there's a block to put into it. And yeah, I'm not a addiction counselor. I wish I had, or a sponsor or anything like that. I'm not a bro like that. I wish I had something better to say. And sometimes it's just true that that's not true. So yeah, I wish the best of luck to you. I also hope, you're being honest about it. So there's that. Cool. Beth? Oh, what's up? What's up, Based? Fwa. Yeah. Let's go, baby. Good to see you, Based. Beth as well. Very exciting. We got Beth Mayhew as a moderator. Beth is a legend. Now in these spaces, she's a legend in a couple other spaces. She joins some famous folks such as Alicia, Bob, a couple of other of our moderators. they're not always all here all the time. We got Robin Webster sometimes. So if Beth tells you to do something, you guys can do it. I appreciate all y'all. Yep, cool. 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 Yeah, Beth, those types of comments, like I tell people if they want to spam, they can spam for a couple seconds. Yeah, cool. You say 24 hours, I was going to say 3 minutes. Either one works. Suzette, feel free to come back. We love having important conversations and hearing people have important ideas, whether that's true or not. Vaping suddenly became sexy, did it? No, it didn't. Guarantee you it did not. No, it didn't. Right? Voices of the tribes, right? Thoughts on term limits for politicians? Yeah, keep the term limits that we have. I don't. I think it's great for people to be able to have an honest conversation, even if that conversation doesn't happen as often as we can, about professional politicians in the House and Senate. And so when we look at dialogue about welfare, well, there's always discussions about government spending cuts. There's rarely an honest discussion about totally eliminating social nets, social safety nets, or lifting them up to perhaps a different level, right? Americans are often very comfortable with sort of procedurally and in law the way we decide those types of questions. But someone like Bernie Sanders or Lindsey Graham, right? Do we think of, well, has this person actually cultivated as effective of a sort of political network for activation as voters think of? Are they able to do enough for all voters, whether or not they voted for them or not in their district? And are they able to take their state's issues and bring them up to that national level? I don't think we need the government telling us that we can vote someone out of office on the House or senatorial level. For senatorial stuff, but I think that conversation is really important. That's a very smart question, Derek. Yeah, I think that would be a bad thing. I think it would be a bad thing. I think when we think of how far out do you have to go, right? This is like, like if let's say I'm a track athlete or if I'm a football player, I'm always thinking about how much my spine has to work, how far I have to go. Thanks, Beth. One of those sort of cool ideas is like, well, good government might be meaning that the things that are actually important to a democracy that people can actually hold and maintain as priorities, both intellectually as well as in terms of having a good faith debate and a good faith discussion about what those things are about. I think you would be very dumb. You would be very misguided to say that a single politician or a single political party is the source of your problems. It would be, I would not believe that was the end of your thought process. Not that you have to, that's my African dad. Yeah. Have you finished that thought? You are done? What does that mean? What does it mean? No, you are done. What does it mean? Does it mean anything? It does not mean anything. Tell me what it means. Who are you? No, tell me like this. Who are you? No, I will not listen to this answer. What are you giving to me? Who are you and what are you giving to me? Did you make up your mind? A faith debate. Stop yelling, hillbilly. Omar, Maran. What's up? Good to see you, brother. You guys want yeehaw? You guys want me to do a different voice? I'll just use my normal voice then. What are you saying to me? Okay? No, now you will tell me. Okay, so you go to the store. Who is it? Who is it that is going to the store? You made up your mind. What do you go to the store to give to me now? Okay? I don't know if that's actually like an African dad, but that's funny as hell and clairvoyant to me. It has a certain sense of clarity and precision. You guys want me to stop yelling? I'll stop yelling. I won't yell a single more time on this stream. Have you dived into Alligator Alcatraz yet? Yeah, a little bit. I shared my own thoughts about it. It was in the title of one of the live streams a day or two ago. I wanted to talk about it in terms of state power, budget, and really what I saw is giving a lot of authority over to executive agencies in the United States, which I don't think is too fine-grained. It's basically just saying the White House now tells governors when and where and how high to jump for what isn't really like an ICE policy, sort of is, but for what reason, right? For what reason? Cui bono? Who's benefiting here? Is this actually just a populist political move? Who knows? You can't actually say if you're building detention centers in every state. You could say, but Jim has a point. PVC pipes as well as tarps. Tarps are the technical term for tarps. It probably looks worse than the mega prison in Guatemala. Have you guys seen what's his fucking name? Kilmar Abrego. He's talked a little bit. Yeah, a couple of the people that have been ruled by the courts as wrongly deported and brought back, which we'll see exactly the same thing in Alligator Alcatraz and other camps. We'll call them detention facilities. We'll see the same things in those places. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see, like Kilmar Abrego talked about the conditions that don't sound like a U.S. prison, and so, or U.S. detention. So very strange to think of a U.S. court proceeding just as like a common sense interpretation resulting in what appears is like a very authoritarian way of doing internment. So we've had similar conversations in the United States about things like solitary confinement, and about prison and all this other stuff. And so, it's very cool. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about Alligator Alcatraz and my opinions, I would recommend Google search it or leave a comment. And if I can answer, if it's just an opinion thing, I will happily share. Happy to share. Is anywhere aware of the Obama deportations? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Under Obama, if I remember correctly, there was lots of children and families was a big point. Is there a theory of law around children and families? Yeah, it should be. Nova Chase, hi, good to meet you. Nova's in there. Can you say free Palestine? Almond, yeah. I hope that my hope is that there is a peace accord and there's practical applications getting towards, not just a ceasefire, but permanent peace. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that a lot of leaders in Hamas and people that voted for Hamas as far back as 2006 are, all of those sort of things. There's people that came from a background of oppression. I also think there's intersectionality as well, right? There's also intersectionality, right? Not everyone in Palestine voted for Hamas. There's people that think, well, Hamas got elected and immediately started civil, like basically a mini-scale civil war. Hamas works most closely with an authoritarian Islamist government in Lebanon that got elected and then said no one else gets to get elected again. So I don't necessarily think that's a reason that Israel and Palestine and Lebanon and Yemen, Houthis in Yemen should be fighting. with planes and bombs and stuff like that, rockets, missiles, small arms, all that kind of stuff. Small arms are tools of empire's oppression. Small arms are also a tool of war. They're a weapon designed to muck duck people too. So I do think there's lots of people in both Israel and Palestine who woke up one day around their 18th birthday and said, what I'm going to do with my life is I'm going to be willing and capable of muck ducking people. So there you go. There you go. You get that back. Free Palestine and free everywhere else in the world in the same way, and in a way that's just a fit for Palestine. Let's do diplomacy, guys. I'm in Palestine. There is Christian and Muslim conflict. Marias, cool. Yeah. Peace to you guys. I wish that, 2 years ago, as much as the rest of the world can kind of project power and ask people to make smart decisions, I wish we had done that. If wishes were gumdrops and rainbows, I'd probably have diabetes, but, all that stuff. So, yeah. So, people that are liberation fighters, freedom fighters, all that kind of stuff. I think there's a really notable theory called rational actor utility, or rational actor theory, but it basically states that all humans make the same sort of game theoretic considerations. So I think some people, I'm sure there's people in Hamas who want to be a government, and there's also people in Hamas who probably at the time, for worse or for better, didn't consider what it means to be so closely embedded with a militant group that has committed and built both tactic and strategy around harming civilians. So who knows? Israeli extremist settlers. I understand that too. So have fun. You get what you get. There's your sign, buddy. You guys don't want to be, if you guys don't internally want to work out the bullshit, where does it come from? It always comes from up top. Dude, bro, you are so off on topics, man. Shave says talking koala. Hey, good to see you. Appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. Yep, I understand that as well. Guess Michelle Davisi. Guess where I'm from? State. You're from the State Department. Whoa, bro. No, I don't know what state you're from. I'm in Phoenix, so good to have you here. Thanks for saying hi. Any of y'all want to? Yeah, that's cool. If any of y'all want to say like and subscribe, catch another stream. I also appreciate y'all chatting and stuff like that. We just had Diddy show up in chat, right? We have a celebrity in the chat, guys. That's not a lie. You guys probably want to hide the baby oil. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all want to take that seriously a little bit, but yeah, good to see y'all. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate you. Do you do or don't have a chin? Hey, good question, bro. Good question. Is that the question you wanted to ask? Cool. That's awesome. I know a decent percentage of our audience compared to some of the live streams are older folks. So any moms, dads, or folks without kids, older folks, whatever. I'm not going to ever pry any of that stuff, but thank you for deciding to spend a couple minutes. I, honest to goodness, hope to just provide a fun place to have fun conversations, some important conversations, satisfy curiosity, all that kind of stuff, whatever it is. So appreciate y'all, all the younger folks out there. I'm 35 years old. I'm older than you. Thanks for tuning in. You believe in Jesus Christ as your savior. I do not believe in Jesus Christ. Free Britney Spears. Let's go now. Talking koala is talking some sense. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Free Willy. Let's go, baby. I will talk all of that nonsense. Let's go. Let's all talk all that nonsense. Always that simple. Let's go, baby. It actually is that simple. Let's go. Luis Gomez says Satan is God. That's always tough as an atheist who understands the promise of Satan from the Bible. But actually, since I don't believe in the Bible, Satan and Lucifer and that whole ordeal, nature plus one, it's always difficult. It's always difficult. There's no Donald. That's Paul McCartney. That's the Beatles. Big Tech's Unk about to experience. Dude, Big Tech's kind of a little cooled out at the end there. Let me read this. I will read this like an academic. Unk about to experience the G word, bukkake. Gay bukkake. Unk about to experience. And so what we might say in this sense is what the author is intending by Unk about to experience gay bukkake is that Unk is both the subject as well as an object in some sense. And the reason we can say this is Unk is, it's difficult. Well, is the sentence about the gay bukkake, but the point is about to experience is almost this unanswered sort of miniature prepositional phrase about an experience. And so if Unk is a subject and object, we definitely know that Unk and gay bukkake go together, but we also may suggest that Unk has some latent emotional expectation about gay bukkake, and the author, Big Text, is allowing the audience to fill that in. Thank you. That is okay that you don't believe in God. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, I like talking theology. If you guys want to talk about Spinoza sometime, top tier content. Thank you, Jack. It is. Well, if you subscribe, then absolutely it's top tier content. We are getting in there. We're getting there, dude. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Were you always an atheist, or was there something that has stripped you of your, I wouldn't say stripped you of your faith. Stripped you. You are, that phrasing appears to have, what was actually taken off me? I don't know. I was Catholic, so you tell me. I believed in dignity and social justice deeply as a Catholic. I always felt that even in the Catholic theology, like stuff like the virgin birth, that is typically very important, not that controversial in most Christian circles. I always felt that was very overblown because you have dignity, you have social justice. That was what I came from, and this is me as a high schooler at that time. And so what stripped me of my faith? Well, I realized that a just God, the contradiction that my high school brain understood very well was that, well, a just God wouldn't be caring and having these heaven and hell places. He wouldn't have these classifications for people. He wouldn't be having these churches judging gay people or whatever it was at that time. He wouldn't have injustice at the scope that it was, and he wouldn't have heaven and hell for these people, because there's clearly just a distinction of morality in the Bible. And if you believe the Bible talks about a morality that exists outside of the Bible, like most sane people do, like most people who have explored their worldview and have had the chance to challenge it and put it through the ringer. Well, if you're taking that version of the Bible, and so what aspect of my faith was stripped? Well, it was really just the time commitment on Sundays. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you asked a question that I felt was somewhat disrespectful towards me. So I apologize. If I'm being sensitive, you let me know again in the future how I was being sensitive or insensitive. Thank you. He's literally rambling. Elephant News, I have no obligation to read the comments. I like reading the comments because I want to create content that is on track with you guys. And people intuitively, like your favorite social media creators, when they read content, they're not trying to like socially hack you. Some of them probably do, but I mean, fuck those ones. Don't subscribe when they're creepy as fuck, right? But yeah, I try reading content, comments and chat, and sometimes if we can find something to pin up, I'll do that. Because just like intuitively, if I see 15 or 20 of the same message, maybe I know that that's a topic I'll talk about in the future or something. Maybe I can do more research, be 5 steps ahead of you guys informationally about something, right? Or not, be 5 steps behind you guys and just kind of talk. I'll look right above my camera and I'll just talk like this for 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. It's not that big of a deal. Eternity. Yeah, we're going to call it a stream, guys. We've been going for 3 hours. My family's out of town right now. Someone asked earlier if I was incoherently rambling, so I got to make a phone call. Not for all y'all, for myself on that small one right there. So thank you so much for everyone who joined. Yeah, if you guys want, you guys got the reactions on the bottom right. I try and keep an eye on all that kind of stuff. Try to, at least for a decent portion of the show. Alicia, thank you so much for being here. Everyone say thank you to Alicia, best mod on YouTube. If you guys, we do have auto mod on, so if you're not seeing your comment, it might have been caught by the moderator. I try and check some of those too, so if you have something important you want to say to all of chat or you want me to read, just try to not use profanity. I don't care. Shit, fuck, whatever, damn. No offense. And yeah, if you guys want to do formal, yeah, Derek, that's what's up. Thank you. And so like, yeah, that's, but like, yeah, if you guys want to, like and subscribe, suggest a topic, whatever it is, yeah, always here to kind of watch. Thank you to everyone who voted in the poll. Thank you guys who stuck around. And yeah, absolutely. I'll catch you guys either tomorrow night stream or do a whatever. Maybe I won't do it. I don't know. I'll see you guys. If you guys like the geopolitics, intellectual topics, you guys like interacting in chat, you can hit the notification bell as well to be alerted about streams. But yeah, it's awesome to see. I'm trying to learn usernames and stuff like that. So if I can see you guys, hey, I'm dipping off Lux. But yeah, catch one sometime. Yeah, Lil Bumblebee, what's up? Yeah, catch a stream sometime. Yeah, if you guys want to, that's always super cool. Yeah, my brain just crashed out. Yeah, someone call a crash cart.